This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto became Sage of Sixth Path and goes to DC Universe. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Madara was defeated by Naruto. Madara was on the ground, dying from the wounds inflicted by Naruto and his ultimate weapon, the Jubi, which Naruto sealed inside of him to stop its rampage, after a long day of battering. "It's over, Madara." He grinned. Yes it is. And I must say, you've outdone yourself, Naruto. Surpassed your parents in every way possible. You've done them proud. Madara cracked a grin. Why'd you do it? All this? You could have done something productive, something worth doing. Naruto responded. So why? Madara chuckled a little. Naruto nodded and asked, you really want to know? Then I'll tell you why. There must always be a hero, Naruto. Always. Then there must always be a villain to contest him. Even if evil is put down for a time, evil must stay alive in order for good to prove itself above it. Without good, evil destroys all things, and without evil, good becomes evil. It's that simple, Madara replied. It's not that simple, but it is. Look at what we've done together, Naruto. I gave the world an enemy to hate and unite against, and you brought them together. You've done something for each of the 5 great villages like I knew you would the day you were born. Then you united them to face me. Like I knew you would. Madara began to cough. Naruto's eyes narrowed. There's something else, isn't there? Madara grinned. Yes. You're no longer needed here, Naruto. You've saved this world from me and the Jubi. However, as you are the last of the Jinchuriku, of the Jubi no less, some of the people will start to fear you once more. Evil has been defeated for a time and this world is safe for the time being. I'm going to send you to another world. Naruto's eyebrow went up. Naruto heard a crunch and thought, okay, let's say I believe you that you could do that. You're out of chakra, how can you send me to another world? Food pill? Madara started performing hundreds of hand seals, saying, yeah, I've been at this longer than you have, Naruto. But this food pill fully charges me for a few seconds. But, my kid, they will grow up and hear about their father, the greatest ninja of all time. They will strive to become like you, and when a new evil rises to challenge the peace, they will be there, at the front stopping it. And stop it they will. Madara was nearly finished. How do you know that? I have seen it. Like how I've seen what will happen in this fight and didn't bother to change it. I knew I would lose and fail but still fought this battle. Madara was nearing the end. What? I only got Shion pregnant. Madara made fun of him, saying, oh right. How could I have forgotten? I could have completely forgotten that you and Hinata went at it like rabbits 2 days ago. Maybe she didn't get pregnant when you went at it from 9 to 5. After blushing, Naruto slapped his head and forgot about it. Can you tell me about them? Madara grinned. Naruto's eyes widened as he said, sure. You will have triplets from Hinata. Yeah, I know. I expected at least 4 kids from her, but nope, only 3. Anyway, she'll push out 2 girls and a boy. The boy will look and act like you without the Hyuga bloodline. He'll become a great ninja and the 7th Hokage under the teachings of Konohamaru. He'll make Hokage in a few years, you know. Naruto grinned. You 2 girls from Hinata 1 will be a Capon copy of Hinata. Act like her too, even down to the pointing of her fingers when she sees the boy she likes. Don't worry, the boy will be a fine ninja and man, so no worries there. The 2nd girl will have dark red hair and act like your mom. So a red-headed girl version of you. They will grow up powerful and strong. Then one day, they will meet up with their older sister from Shion and face off against that demon thing that you and Shion beat. The 4 of them will face a stronger version of that and beat it, saving the world from evil for a time. From then on, Naruto, your descents will be the reasons that this world keeps spinning. You and your family will be known as the greatest of heroes. Madara shared his kid's tale. He was told it was good enough, but he would have liked to see it. This world that you're sending me to, Madara, what's it like? The world is broken like this one. That is all I know. You will be sent there to fix it. Don't forget about me, Naruto, that's all I ask for doing this for you. One more thing, move on from Shion and Hinata, that's what they would want for you. Find yourself a nice girl or 2, or 10. Who knows how many girls will catch your eye. Goodbye, Naruto. Naruto gave a nod. Forbidden ninja art. Dimension distortion. Naruto vanished in a flash of darkness. Madara fell apart again. Then, for some reason, I sneezed. Naruto must have said my name. Maybe I should have told him that the Jubi will fuck up his powers and he'll get new ones. Nah. I had to learn the hard way. And then it happened to Madara. But maybe I should have at least told him that the Jubi is a pervert? Nah. Madara. Madara saw the 5 cages and numerous ninja from the 5 villages when she heard the voice. Madara grinned, and Hinata was one of them. It was Tsunade who demanded, "Where is Naruto Uzumaki?" Naruto Uzumaki. I know not of this Naruto Uzumaki, but I know the whereabouts of Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, last of the Uzumaki royal line and last descendant of the Sage of the 6 Paths if you're interested. Madara laughed at them. Tsunade's gaze expanded. The other ninjas did the same. "Where is he?" exclaimed Tsunade. "I sent him away. Away from you, and the hate that this world will bring upon him." "What are you talking about? No one would hate him for what he did. He beat you. No one can hate him for that." "Can't they? Humans fear what they do not care to understand. That is why I got as far as I did." Then, furious, Hinata seized him by the neck. She cried out, "Bring him back," as if she might burst into tears. Madara grinned. "Even if I could, I wouldn't. This world would condemn him for being the last Jinchuriku, of the Jubi no less." He was coughing up blood. He grinned once more as she relaxed and shocked. "I would suggest that you calm down, Mrs. Namikaze. All that anger is not good for the babies." "Wah?" Madara closed his eyes and died, saying, "I'll let you figure it out. Now if you don't mind. I'm going to go ahead and die now." Still in shock, Hinata asked, "He what? Did she have a child?" "We need to treat our injured. We will have anyone we can spare look for Naruto. He is the only reason we have free will. Get out," the Ninja Alliance leader commanded. A different world. Whatever Madara did to Naruto, he woke up. He said, "There are a lot of birds and clouds around me." "Hold on, clouds and birds?" Naruto cast his gaze downward. He exclaimed, "Ah! From somewhere in the sky. Madara, you asshole." This is what caused Madara to sneeze for the first time. Even though it was far away, Naruto could see land rising quickly as he fell quickly. He started to think, shit. What do I do? What do I do? Almighty push, huh? Naruto glanced around, believing he had heard. A slightly stronger voice said, "Almighty push, almighty push." All right. Naruto took a breath and started to gather what little chakra he had left before saying, "Almighty push." No need to yell in a creepy voice. Nothing. Lordly push. Nothing again. Get some voice assistance. The almighty push isn't functioning. The ground was getting closer, but that wasn't a problem at the moment. Naruto saw large buildings similar to those in Amy. "Chakra to your eyes, your eyes." Oh. Naruto inhaled again, directed chakra into his eyes, and then opened them. He had the Jubi's eyes, and he was only a few meters away from splatting. "Almighty push," Naruto shouted. Given that he had just been in a death match with Madara, Naruto thought to himself, "Ow." He just so happened to land on a rock that was not crushed by his almighty push. Yes, someone didn't like him. The force made a loud sound that could be heard for miles, and a crater in the middle of a park was caused by the force Naruto used. He would be sore for a while, but he will live. Justice Mount. After completing their training, the team was completely bored and had nothing to do or missions to complete, so young Justice was just sitting around doing nothing. "So, would you like to see a film?" Wally inquired. "No," was the rest of the group's collective response. "We'll start with Kid Flash, the fastest boy alive, whose brain is the slowest part of his body because he specs, thinks, and then realizes he said something stupid. He also trained under Batman for years, and although he has a problem with his height, he says he's a late bloomer, so whatever gets you to sleep at night, Bird Boy." Next up is Superboy, the clone of Superman who was rejected by the Man of Steel and tries to be stronger without Superman. Finally, we have Aqualad, Aquaman's sidekick and soldier, who was chosen as the team leader because he was the most qualified to lead the group. The only girls on the team are Miss Marion, also known as Megan, the niece of Marion Manhunter John. She is a cute redhead who enjoys cooking and has a healthy shade of green for her skin tone. Her red hair also goes well with her. Artemis, the team's newest member and the group's archer, is not a Green Arrow enthusiast despite wearing a lot of green. I'm incredibly bored. I hope something occurs. Like a random guy from another dimension who needs to be stopped after causing some trouble due to a misunderstanding. Kid Flash shouted in exasperation. The group gave him an owlish look. Yes, kid, that is likely to occur. Robin remarked, the odds are a long shot at best. Superboy merely scoffed, saying that while he still gets angry, he's improving. Artemis simply rolled her eyes, and Megan laughed at Kid. Think carefully about what you want for Wally. Sometimes wishes are granted by the gods, and other times the answer you receive isn't what you wanted, Aqualad remarked wisely. Red Tornado, the Young Justice babysitter, spoke from the adjacent screen. Young Justice, report to the briefing room for deployment. All right. Take some action, Kid Flash shouted with excitement. Red Tornado was waiting for the team at the briefing room, with Batman's face displayed on the big screen behind him. Young Justice, pay attention. Something landed in Metropolis Park less than 5 minutes ago after falling from the sky. Whatever caused the 30-meter wide hole in the park is unknown to us. I'm currently in Asia with Superman, so I'm unable to reply. But there, you'll run into Supergirl and Power Girl. Wonder Woman will also be present for a brief period of time. She is the leader. Batman gave them the bat glare before the screen went black. Go out as soon as she gets here, Batman out. The Wonder Woman eventually emerged from the teleporter. She had previously only met the team once, and that was prior to Artemis joining. Once again, greetings, Young Justice. Let's leave. We don't know what to expect. She was one of the few people who knew anything about the Young Justice team, but she told them to be prepared for anything. Yes, ma'am. The whole group replied. The scene of Naruto's crash. For the past few minutes, Naruto had been sleeping in his new hole in the ground, either because he couldn't get out or because he didn't want to. I suppose it's time to get up, he said. I'm hoping I won't have to fight today because Madeira just gave me a huge ass kick. For dropping me from the sky, that guy is a jerk. The very least he could have done was to make me land in water. If the Jubi were as perverted as Kurama was, I had better not be surprised again. Until I had slept with Hinata, Kurama would stop singing the song that never ends. Madeira sneezed for the second time as Naruto recalled that terrible memory. God, I can't believe he did that for 3 days. I'm sure the strongest being in existence isn't a pervert like Kurama. Wonder Woman, Power Girl, Supergirl, and the Young Justice team had just gathered outside the park. The police have surrounded the park with a perimeter and evacuated it, Wonder Woman. Supergirl informed Wonder Woman. The only thing there is whatever fell from the sky. Wonder Woman nodded and said, can you fix whatever's in there, Megan? It will inform us whether or not it is human. Hi, Megan. On it. Megan began to read the area. She caught onto one mind. Unknown to her it was Naruto's, but something was blocking her from getting any deeper than sense him. I'm sorry, ma'am. They have a strong mental barrier, but I can feel someone there. I don't understand, she said sadly to her. It's okay, kid. We know that there is only one of them and that it's alive, Wonder Woman said, nodding. Be prepared for anything because we have no idea what we are getting into. Get out, she said. KF resumed his conversation as the large group made their way to the spot of the nice-sized hole in the ground, saying, you think is some guy from another dimension? Or better yet, another girl? He inquired. He was practically giddy with anticipation. Megan was the only member of the Young Justice team who didn't roll their eyes. She simply didn't have a mean bone in her body. Wonder Woman said to him, Kid Flash, stay focused. I sense someone powerful up ahead. When the group reached the hole's edge, Robin remarked, I don't see anyone. Use your X.ray vision, Supergirl. Observe what you can see. Wonder Woman had a sneaking suspicion that the world had recently changed. Right. Supergirl turned on her X.ray vision and began scanning the area for anything. She saw a boy lying on the ground and beginning to get, but what she saw next startled her. He was walking the steep wall as if it were the ground. Do you see anything? Power Girl inquired. Many, if not all, of the team were shocked to hear, yeah, a young boy about 16 or so, he's getting up and out of the crater. Had someone survived that? As soon as they saw a young, blonde boy's hand reach up and grab the edge of the crater, he stood up, and several of the team's girls blushed. Mostly Megan, Artemis, Supergirl, and Power Girl, though Power Girl blushed less than the others. But they also noticed that he was covered in blood, which might have been his. Madara, that ass. Aw man, my head. He might have thrown me into the sea or river. Nobody understood Naruto when he said, not the sky, then fall onto a rock of all things that just happens to not be crushed from my almighty push, ass. Greetings. Naruto looked at the group of about 12 people, some of whom were wearing extremely tight tights, while the others, the girls, for the most part, were dressed in excessively reveling attire. Maybe we could get your name. Naruto saw a Wonder Woman, like girl in gold, red, blue, and white stars talking to him, but he couldn't understand her. Being Naruto, he began to recount everything that had happened in a frantic manner, from his battle with Madara to how he got here, but nobody could understand a word. Did anyone get that, I wonder? Kid Flash inquired. Just one word. Which tongue is he using? Artemis inquired. I'm not positive, but it sounds like Japanese. Give me a minute, please. Robin pulled out one of his many gadgets and pressed the translator button. Megan started attempting to read his thoughts, saying, let me try. Someone was attempting to enter Naruto's head. Hey, stop that. With Ino as a friend, you tend to get the hint when someone is trying to get inside your head. Naruto screamed, but once more, no one understood him. He felt the push in the back of his mind. The Aqua lad informed her, Megan, I don't think he likes that. I apologize, but I was able to obtain something. I only experienced pain, she told Aqualad and the others. Sorry. Like he causes it or he's in pain? Artemis inquired. He's hurting. I felt it briefly, but there was a lot of it. He is barely able to stand. He is relying solely on his own willpower, she informed the group. All right, I understand that he speaks Japanese, but nothing he says makes sense. He looked at the translation and said, it says that he was in a food fight with his best friend when was sent here. The Young Justice team examined Robin's toy and saw what it said. Perhaps a mistranslation? Kid Flash inquired. Probably not. This guy is just insane, in my opinion. Let me try something, though. Robin was typing when she said, I'm going to tell him we're friends and can help him. You don't get injuries like that from a food fight or just falling down from up high. Robin remarked. You don't get injuries like that from a food fight or just falling down from up high. Wonder Woman was assessing the mystery blonde, and he was doing the same to them by looking around. She felt uneasy because he looked at Supergirl and Power Girl as though they were floating around, but he treated them as if they were a threat to him. As Robin approached Naruto slowly, he noticed that he was tense and prepared to move at any time. Easy, I'm not going to hurt you, just want to show you something. Robin showed him the sentence he had typed. Okay, I got it. It said something like, we are friends and can help you, but Robin didn't realize that the Japanese he was speaking was an ancient form on this earth. So Naruto saw that it actually said, we are enemies and will hurt you. Nevertheless, that went over well, and Naruto punched Robin square in the face, sending him flying. Robin landed on Kid Flash after taking off from Naruto. Subsequently, as Supergirl and Power Girl attacked him, Naruto assumed his fighting stance, grabbed Supergirl's wrist, threw her behind him, and then put a hand in front of him. Almighty push, Power Girl was shocked to see her flying against her will. But no one was more shocked than Power Girl herself when he sent her flying back. Like the heroes, Naruto prepared for battle. Superboy charged in first, launching a huge punch at the blonde man, but Naruto just sidestepped the awkward blow and kicked Superboy in the back when he pasted him. Kid Flash began to attack, using his speed for hit and run maneuvers. Naruto became irritated with this rapidity, and after getting the timing down after about 5 more hits, he leveled the ground and stomped on it, causing Kid Flash to lose his balance and then make friends with Naruto's fist. Kid Flash was sent flying into Aqualad, who had no time to get out of the way. Naruto pulled out 4 kunai and threw them at Artemis, pinning her to the tree behind her, while avoiding the 3 arrows she fired in rapid succession. After Aqualad stood up and attacked Naruto using his water-binding abilities, Naruto simply stopped the water, took control of it, and threw it back at Aqualad, who was too shocked that his attack was returned to avoid it. When Robin attempted to strike Naruto with his metal staff from behind, Naruto leapt, spun in midair, and then punched Robin in the back because he was exhausted from his battle with Madara. Robin returned to the fight, attempting to flank Naruto, but Naruto was too skilled for that. Megan began using her telepathy to try to understand this young man with the blonde hair, but before she was ejected, she was only able to gather that he was in pain. Then Wonder Woman attacked him, and Naruto had to concede that she was much stronger than the others. He blocked every punch she threw at him, saying, "Damn, she hits as hard as Grandma Tsunade." He ducked when she tried to kick him, and she paid for it, sending her flying to the rest of the group with an uppercut to her chin. Naruto then fell to one knee, exhausted from this new fight already, saying, "Damn, I can't keep going. Madara tired me out and most of them can go toe-to-toe with Grandma Tsunade. Damn, this sucks." A little blood escaped his mouth. Supergirl, Artemis, Robin, and Megan are the only ones who have not touched him, but they all saw that Naruto had taken something from his pouch and put it in his mouth. Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Power Girl, and Megan were the only ones who could sense his energy, and if it were possible, they could feel him grow stronger. "You can only take one more of those without any consequences, careful child." Since he was aware of the negative effects this food pill had on him and only people who liked him, Naruto didn't bother to ask, assuming the voice was the Jubi in his head. "The more you take, the more irate you become, which is a terrible thing for a tail-beast host." Wonder Woman informed the group, "We need a plan. All of us just charging and got us harmed from his reactions. He seems to be strong, and whatever he took made him stronger. We need to take him down without him taking any more of those things," Power Girl said. "I have a strategy," Aqualad said. "Megan connects us telepathically." "Right." She went ahead. The group surrounded him after he made a plan for himself while they were planning. He somehow understood how his new eyes, which were essentially a combination of the Rinnegan and the Sharingan but much more complex, worked and made 3 clones for himself to use as extra eyes. Not that the others saw him. And placed 1 in the tree behind him, 2 in the trees to his right, and left a good 20 feet away from him so he could see the entire field. The only person he couldn't see was the green-skinned red-headed person he thought was cute. He knew that the green one was the telepath, but she couldn't enter at all without touching him due to his metal shielding. Power Girl, Supergirl, and Superboy came up behind him. He saw Kid Flash to his right with Robin, Aqualad to his left with Wonder Woman in the middle, and Artemis in the tree behind Wonder Woman. He examined the situation and concluded that the 3 people behind him and the woman in front of him were just as bad as Tsunade. We had a super speed guy like Lee and Guy, but he wasn't as fast, so that was good, but still bad. There were some kids with hand.to hand skills who posed no threat, another with bow and arrow who posed no threat, and another with water power who posed little threat. Therefore, the only people who posed a threat were the 4 powerhouses and the mind reader. Superboy charged Naruto with a powerful right hook before Naruto turned around and grabbed his hand and threw him towards Wonder Woman, who caught Superboy but skidded a few yards away. He saw the black child, Aqualad, nod to the group behind him. Kid Flash charged next, using his hit dot and dot run techniques once more. Naruto was growing increasingly irritated, so he waited for the ideal moment once more before making his move, but he was not there and instead got slapped across the face by some water. They were clever enough to know that I could catch Speedboy, so they pretended that he would try to catch him again. Instead, they planned another attack. "Hey, where are the 2 girls that were behind me?" Naruto asked, searching for them. Ah. When he saw that both of the girls were charging at him at full speed, Naruto was about to move when he noticed that his feet were covered in ice, probably by the water user. Naruto did the only thing he could do, which was to raise his hands and catch both of their punches. The shock of his stopping their attacks caused a few smaller trees nearby to shake out of their roots. "Enough!" Naruto shouted, "I'm not on the defensive anymore," and used his strength to throw Supergirl and Power Girl to different sides of the park. Kid Flash attacked him once more, but Naruto wasn't going to let him do his hit dot and dot run routine again, so he grabbed his hand, twisted it out of position, and then kicked his right knee, breaking it. Ah! Kid Flash was clutching his fractured knee. After using his father's Flying Thunder God Jutsu, which he had acquired from his father, Naruto moved ahead of Aqualad, knocking the wind out of him with a punch to the gut. Then, as Robin attempted to strike him with his steel staff, Naruto grabbed it, broke it in half, dropped it over his head, breaking his left shoulder, and used his almighty push to send him back to the tree where Artemis was hiding. Wonder Woman then attacked him, but he was able to avoid her with the aid of his clones and the abilities of his new eyes, which allowed him to move at a speed that was much faster than hers. However, Aqualad watched in agony as he battled her, his plan beginning to take shape. Now, Superboy, Power Girl, and Supergirl, After Wonder Woman cornered him back to the edge of his hole, she struck his face with a power right hook, followed by a speed enhanced punch from Supergirl and Superboy, who then struck him hard in the face. These people are strong, and he can feel it. Naruto was on his hands and knees from the most recent attack when he flew across that crater and broke a tree. He reached for his pouch and took another food pill, this one a little different from the previous one. It was gray instead of red. I'm sure you know what's going to happen once this one is taken. Naruto was aware that he might lose control of his anger and use more power than he intended to, but he knew that he would be unable to flee because two of these women could simply follow him and he would simply wreak havoc. Naruto popped something in his mouth, and Power Girl saw it. No, she blinked and then doubled over as Naruto's power surged again. So fast, she muttered before coughing. Wonder Woman was the next person Naruto faced. She was able to block the first one, but Naruto kicked her in the stomach, sending her flying. Supergirl was then the target of Naruto's advances, but she was able to seize his arm before he grabbed her hand and they engaged in a strength testing match to determine who was stronger. Naruto thought, she's stronger than she looks. Supergirl thought, he's strong, as she tried to subdue him but was unsuccessful. He was on top of her, overpowering Supergirl, which is not something you see every day. Naruto's enhanced strength was beginning to prevail until he tripped her and she fell, at which point his strength appeared to be even greater. After Wonder Woman threw him off her, they started battling for supremacy. She questioned, how can he be so strong? Since the effects of the second pill were almost gone, Naruto was kicked off of her. The pill will be wearing off soon. Their women are tough, strong, and fast. As Superboy's punch landed, he made a few hand signals, and a panda bear appeared on his back. The bear left, and Naruto then performed a roundhouse kick to knock Superboy away. Both girls halted and stared in disbelief as Supergirl and Power Girl both aimed their lasers at him. Naruto used more of his power, which he thought was forced into his knowledge by the Jubi, and absorbed the energy from them, giving him a slight power boost. Naruto stopped for a moment and said, "Awesome push." Everyone was forced back, but everyone was blinded by the dust that was kicked up. Naruto was exhausted, barely able to stand, and he was on one knee facing the last of the people who were shooting at him. The archer chick he had forgotten about destroyed his two shadow clones, and he was forced back to the edge again. He heard a snap and then grabbed the arrow that was aimed at his head. Arrows aren't very effective, so why? Boom! When he felt someone approaching from below, the green-skinned girl grabbed hold of him. So that was their plan? Naruto asked, grabbing her hand before she could touch his head. Then he lost his footing when the earth collapsed beneath him, but he took Megan with him. The arrow was a flashbang arrow, and it blinded him. Megan! As she trailed them down the crater, Wonder Woman shouted. Both of them instinctively held on to each other as they tumbled down, and when the odd couple reached the bottom, they struck each other in the head. Megan witnessed his past in brief flashbacks, including the death of his family, his training to become a cold-blooded killer, beatings and neglect, his missions, and how he saved the world from an evil man who wanted to rob the world of free will in order to become a god. Later, she learned that the evil man had sent him here from another world or dimension, and she also witnessed what he saw when Robin approached him when he first arrived. He believed they were his enemies rather than his friends, which led to this misunderstanding. Unbeknownst to Megan, however, her ability to read his mind was reciprocal. He was able to see her past, including how her own kind despised her for being born differently from them and her desire to be accepted by her human friends. But most importantly, to discover what humans call love. Despite not being able to hear one another, they both thought, "We're the same. Look at that kid, you found someone you can relate to at last." Just talking to him caused the Jubi to zap the last of his strength, and Naruto fainted. "Hey, Megan." Supergirl and Wonder Woman approached her after noticing that Megan was crying for no apparent reason. "How are you doing, Megan?" Supergirl questioned, unsure of how to react. "I observed his past." She hurried to him, having found someone who could relate to her, and said, "I saw everything. He's been through so much. He believed we were the enemy, so the fight was a misunderstanding." Wonder Woman. Robin's interpretation was incorrect. "We must help him, please. He is currently in a lot of pain." Megan sounded desperate because she was not used to feeling such intense sadness. He had been fighting a monster for days before he fell from the sky. Megan's pleading startled Wonder Woman and Supergirl. Excellent. Together with the rest of the team, we will take him to receive treatment. However, Wonder Woman told her, tell us what you saw. Mount Justice. Hours later, Megan had to let her uncle sort through the memories she had of Naruto because she had trouble remembering them. She left out the memories of the Kyuubi and the Jubi being sealed inside him because she didn't want anyone to think of him as a monster or different like she was, but her uncle was unaware of this. After that, she never left Naruto's side, who was still out of it, because she couldn't. She never thought they'd another person like her, but here he was. The Justice League was engaged in a minor debate, more akin to a major one, with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter discussing the young blonde who was the subject of the majority of the teams sent to investigate the situation. Red Tornado had performed the medical evaluation on Naruto and was surprised to discover that he had day-old wounds. When Superman learned that someone was hurt enough to overpower two of his cousins, he was shocked. Let me get this straight, Red Tornado, this boy, Naruto Uzumaki, was so badly injured yet was able to fight Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Superboy, and Power Girl and overpower them. That's right, but Naruto shouldn't be alive given the wounds I discovered. Red Tornado. He should have died yesterday, but he lived and even fought. Batman told the group, he's a threat. However, he was not only correct, but everyone in a position of authority poses a threat. As far as I can tell from the memories my niece was able to acquire from Naruto, he is not a threat. John told Batman, I disagree. He has a strong heart and a strong will, Martian Manhunter informed Batman. In a fistfight, he defeated Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Superboy, and Power Girl, but he was weak and injured. You're telling me he's not a threat after he leveled the ground with massive, destructive attacks using the power from their eye lasers? How can someone not be a threat? Batman asked. That is correct. Even so, he is capable of all those things. Rather than hurting Kid Flash, Robin, and Aqualad, he could have just as easily killed them. He only attacked because Robin's tech mistranslated it, as I've already explained. He refrained from killing. That speaks volumes about him alone. John stood up for Naruto. I propose that we at least hold off on making a judgment about him until he wakes up. As she arrived at the mountain slightly ahead of the team, Huntress remarked, that would be the wise thing to do. I agree that this is a sensible course of action. John told the group, I'll let Megan know to let us know when Naruto wakes up. Batman didn't like that there was an unknown person in the mountain who could defeat some of the Justice League's strongest members, but he didn't have much of an option at the moment, and John was correct. Instead of rendering Kid Flash, Robin, and Aqualad inoperable for a few weeks, he could have easily killed them. John's niece was a little happier than usual when he said, Megan, please let me know when young Naruto is awake, we wish to speak with him. Uncle John, Megan informed him, oh, Uncle John, Naruto is already awake. He woke up a few minutes ago and said he was hungry, so I'm baking him some cookies now. John said to his niece, I see. It would be wise for you to be there when we arrive. We will be there shortly. She cut off the link, saying, okay, the cookies are done anyway. I'll be there soon. After removing the cookies from the oven and blowing on them to cool them down, Megan hurried to Naruto's room because he was extremely hungry. She moved past walls and even the medical ward where the rest of her team is recuperating to reach Naruto's private room so that Batman could watch him. Naruto, I'm back, Megan said as she arrived at Naruto's room. I made chocolate chip, peanut butter, and white chocolate cookies because I didn't know what kind you liked. Megan grinned. Naruto took a bite out of a cookie and said, wow, thanks Megan. These are fantastic. Naruto continued to eat. I'm grateful. I've spent a lot of time trying to perfect the recipe, she said with a smile. You did it down, in my opinion. Naruto joyfully ate another cookie, saying, I haven't had cookies this good in a long time. When Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Red Tornado, Huntress, Black Carney, and the Manhunter entered the room around the time they finished the cookies, Megan, of course, thought Naruto looked kind of cute, comparing him to a fox caught with the hen in his mouth, ears sticking up and all. Batman glared at him and said, we need to talk, and you'll tell us everything. Naruto told himself it was just one of those days. Batman glared at him and said, we need to talk, and you'll tell us everything. Yes, that was pretty well received. When Naruto said, no, chaos ensued. That was a week ago. Although Naruto was forbidden from leaving the mountain, they couldn't stop him from leaving if, when, and when he did leave. He stayed for 3 reasons. Supergirl, Power Girl, and a few others wanted a rematch and needed to know where he was for that rematch. Second, Megan's cooking. She made the best cookies and even better ramen. And third, he was going to stay for a while to see what was going on. In addition to the fact that Lois Lane was in a helicopter and had captured the entire altercation on camera, a lot of people were now intrigued by the mysterious blonde who appeared to be winning the battle against some of the world's strongest women and men. The question that everyone had was whether this new man was a hero or a villain. As a result, Naruto spent most of his time at Mount Justice hanging out with Megan and, through a proxy, Artemis. The two of them gave him a tour of the facility, and aside from the kitchen, his favorite spot to be was the training room, where he could train alone or with the presence of Megan and or Artemis. He had mostly trained in his new Rinnegan and Sharingan combo, and he was unsure of what to call them. The Jubi was quiet, for the most part, and he had a paw in that. That being said, he was so good at fucking them up that he apparently caused enough damage to Kid Flash, Robin, and Aqualad that they would be out for at least another week before they could be cleared for duty again. Then he was punched on the shoulder in a playful way. "Hi, Naruto. Are you game for a rematch?" She hadn't left the mountain since he arrived, not until she received her rematch from him, Power Girl remarked, smirking. "I'm interested in a girl who can kick my ass as the next guy, but have you ever been told that you have beautiful eyes?" Naruto changed his sentence when he saw Power Girl give him the look all men, no matter how strong, fall before the look that woman can give them. Superman, Lex, even Naruto. And yes, even Batman fall before the might of the look. Wonder Woman's look, to be precise. Anyway, back to the story. "Yeah, anytime, anywhere." Naruto grinned back. She told him, "Training room, 5 minutes," and walked out to prepare. No problem. Naruto was on his way to the training ground when he overheard Batman and Superman arguing. Since he was nearly fully recovered, he should be alright. Definitely not. Naruto chose to listen in since that was Batman. "The majority of my team is still hurt from their fight last week. Superboy, Megan, and Artemis are the only ones capable of completing any missions." Batman informed Superman that only Artemis and Megan were capable of such stealth. "Indeed, but you're overlooking someone." Batman didn't like that. Superman told him, "Naruto, based on the information we got from Megan, can do stealth missions. His training was on a level higher than yours." Batman didn't like that either. Batman retorted, "We can't trust him. However, only your team is capable of doing it." Superman and Batman were aware that their options were limited because Supergirl's transmitter stopped transmitting at Dr. Psycho's lab 15 minutes ago, and every second we spend fighting could result in her death or worse. Naruto made the decision to intervene, saying, "Batman, you could always let Supergirl die." Naruto entered the room and said, "I'm sure Superman and Power Girl will understand that you allowed one of their family members to suffer or die, or both." Batman didn't like what he said, but he had no choice because Superman was on Naruto's side because his family was at stake, so it was checkmate for Batman. "All right," Batman said. "Prepare Megan and Artemis for a search and rescue operation that involves infiltration. I will get ready, and Batman, you don't order me around." Naruto grinned and walked away, feeling a little smug at the moment. "I don't like this any more than you do, Batman," he said, gritting his teeth to control his rage. Superman told the Dark Knight, "I don't want to think about leaving the fate of one of my cousins in the hands of a man I know almost nothing about." Batman nodded, understanding. Naruto arrived at the training room and yelled, "Hey Power Girl. All right. Naruto, are you ready?" she asked, prepared to beat him up. "Sorry, but we'll have to wait for our little rematch. I must go save your cousin Supergirl from someone like Dr. Psycho." Dr. A Psycho? That idiot was released from prison? When? There's the legal system for you. She believed he would be incarcerated for another 20 or so years. He was also anticipating their rematch, but he said, "Yeah, I'm going to go save her, just wanted to let you know that our rematch will be postponed." "May I attend?" To make her point, she pounded her fist against her hand. "I want to hit something. It's a covert mission, but I welcome it, thus, you wouldn't be striking very hard." With a cute and sardonic pout, she said, "Ah, are you saying I have a hitting problem?" "Definitely not," said Naruto with a smile. "I adore a girl who has a lot of bite." Naruto waved as he walked away, and Power Girl was ogling his ass. "I'll see you when I get back." Fortunately, no one heard her lighthearted joke. Damn, got to love those buns of steel. After finding Megan and Artemis rather quickly, Naruto returned to Batman, who simply gave him his well-known bat glare. "Ratman, you can glare at me all you want. I've witnessed worse." Naruto made fun of Batman. Don't get me wrong, I admire Batman. I just find it annoying that the JLA sacrifices others in order to avoid making a sacrifice themselves. Batman simply dismissed it, saying, "You are aware of your obligations." Batman told the group of Naruto, Artemis, and Megan. The lab is in Metropolis. The lab itself is small, on the outside, most likely has basement levels. He gave the bat a glare once more to make his point. "Get in, find Supergirl, get out, and Naruto, no killing." Fine, whatever you say, Ratman." The fact that Naruto would confront Batman in such a manner astounded Artemis and Megan. On a building across the street from the lab, the team headed for Metropolis to reach Dr. Saika's lab there. "Anything external, then?" Naruto inquired. Looking through the binoculars, Artemis remarked, "No, it looks closed. I sense people inside, one of them is Supergirl, but her thoughts are too random to know exactly where she is," explained Megan. "My ability to focus on energy signatures is advantageous. There are only roughly 4 people who could endanger us besides Supergirl." "Okay, Megan, is it possible for you to transform into a human scientist complete with lab coat?" the green girl was asked by Naruto. "All right." Megan focused, then transformed into the stereotypical white woman scientist wearing a lab coat. "How'd I look?" she twisted around and asked. "According to Artemis, you look nice." She blushed a little as Naruto grinned at her and said, "Great. All right, you enter through the front door, and the goddess of the hunt and I will enter covertly. Connect with us if you run into problems. If you have to keep your cover up, Megan, use your powers," Naruto informed her. Artemis blushed in response to Naruto's remark. "Okay. Well, how would I respond if someone inquired as to why I was there?" Megan inquired. "Just use a mind trick and convince them that you need to be there," Naruto advised her. "However, isn't that a privacy invention?" "No, you're claiming to be on the level with them." Naruto made a small joke, not seeing how long it took for them to let go of their favorite teddy bear. "Oh, okay." Megan appeared relaxed. Naruto gestured to a vent on the roof and said, "Okay, Artemis, I think I found our way in." "Really? Can we fit?" she inquired. "Are you referring to me as fat?" As he leapt to the lab roof, Naruto joked once more, "I'm just thick-muscled." "Do you think it's all a joke?" She followed him and shot a rambling arrow at the lab. "Kinda," was his response to her, "and I don't think muscled is a word. Then I just made it one." A security guard immediately recognized Megan after she jumped down and entered the front door, giggling. "Oh, Ms. Thompson. Did you forget something again?" he buzzed her in and asked. At first, Megan was unsure of how to respond, but she responded politely, "Oh, yeah, you know me." "Yes, I do." He told her, "Well, you're off, but hurry up, the other guy's shift starts soon, and he won't be as understanding as I am." "Yes, I will. Thank you." Megan pretended to be Ms. Thompson and went off to locate Artemis and Naruto in the laboratory. Vents in labs. Remind me why I entered first. As Artemis followed Naruto's instructions, who were also giving Megan directions, she inquired, "You have the roadmap. Since you're an archer, you have the best eyes I've ever seen, which is why I need good eyes in front of me. Views are also good," Naruto chuckled. Bam. After 10 minutes, Naruto joked, "I love a girl with a lot of bite to her." A black boot to the nose ensured that he wouldn't pervert on Artemis again. "Naruto, don't force me to perform a drastic sex change procedure on you," Artemis threatened. "I will if you even glance at my ass again." "I'll keep in mind what you said," Naruto told her. "Where are you? Come down." Naruto quickly followed Artemis as she opened the vent and hoped down, saying, "I see it." Megan entered a few minutes later and transformed back into her original form. "All right, Supergirl's energy is below us, and I can feel it. There, I also sense 4 other people. I believe that the 3 of us can manage them with little difficulty. All right, this is the strategy. In the lab of Dr. Psycho. In addition to ranting about scientific topics, making evil jokes, explaining things that don't make sense, and complaining about how everyone else is better than them, Dr. Psycho was working on a computer that was prepared to take Supergirl's DNA samples in order to decipher the Kryptonian DNA code. All right, we can soon start the Dr. Psycho said with a sadistic glee, operation. Please let me leave, Dr. Psycho. I'll break most of your bones, but not all of them. Supergirl screamed at him as she was strapped down and receiving a green injection through tubes. After performing some additional calculations, Dr. Psycho stated, "Very tempting, Supergirl, but once I'm done with you, you won't be breaking anything, ever again. How did you persuade me to take this crazy job once more, X?" A young woman whose bandana showed one eye asked. "Very good money. Simple work. Work in security." Red X said to Ravenger, "Come on, we put in 8 hours of work and earn more than we would in a week." Ravenger, Red X is correct. Furthermore, nobody knows where we are. Another young lady wearing a dark green kimono and a cat mask with a permanent smile said to Ravenger, "We're in, we're out, no prob." Cheshire, I hope you're right. I already barged for more than this. Abducting, of all people, Superman's family. Ravenger declared, "I would rather kidnap the president's daughter." Dr. Psycho told them, "Quite, we are almost ready to begin. Once we are done, you will be paid and then you will leave." The Red X said, "See, easy money, famous last words." What? Boom crash. After the dust settled, everyone noticed 3 young people, Artemis, Megan, and a third they had never seen before, as the roof collapsed in a duct and roof tiles were all over the place. Megan and Artemis stood behind Naruto as he remarked, "Everyone Merc says before their job is not so easy anymore." "Dude." Excited about a potential rescue, Supergirl yelled. "All right, we have a green arrow cutie wannabe, a green-skinned, red-haired cutie, and some blonde kid with whisker tattoos," the 3 younger villains observed. Red X exclaimed, "Great, at least we get a workout." Dismissing them as threats, Ravenger remarked, "Well, at least we'll earn our pay." Artemis turns off their shit. Naruto said to 2 girls, "Megan, free Supergirl." Artemis hurled numerous electric arrows at numerous computer towers. Ravenger threw some throwing knives at the arrows and said, "Oh no you don't." Almighty push. Artemis arrows were able to do their work after Naruto knocked them down. Red X blocked Megan's path as she attempted to free Supergirl, saying, "Sorry cutie, I got to stop ya." Megan grinned and said, "It's okay. You will be stopped by my friend." What? Almighty push. Red X was flung out of Megan's way by Naruto. A little too happily, Megan said, "Bye." Megan went to Supergirl, removed the restraints, and removed the tubes that were stuck in her. She noticed that the needles were tipped with kryptonite, and she told her friend, "Supergirl, I think they've injected you with kryptonite, a lot of it." Supergirl told Megan, with a feeble smile, "That explains me feeling sick." Megan floated Supergirl away from the insane doctor and his thugs, saying, "Don't worry, we got you." Gosh, it doesn't move. No matter how hard she tried, she could never hit this blonde man. Cheshire yelled at Naruto. "Kitten, you're too slow." He smiled teasingly and said, "To hit this ninja, you have to move faster than that." "I'm sorry." Then she felt a draft and, to her horror, her scarf that had been holding her kimono closed was gone, and her kimono was slightly open, revealing her black lace bra to Naruto and anyone else who happened to be looking. She charged at him again. As he wrapped her scarf around his neck, Naruto smiled and whistled. "Looks like this little Neko got a naughty side." Without the mask, Naruto would have seen her face flush, either from embarrassment or anger, or probably both. "Taste this." Red X positioned himself behind him and threw a red energy X at Naruto, who absorbed it using one of his sage powers. The other girl, Ravenger, if he heard correctly, then threw some more throwing knives at him, which he threw aside with his almighty push. Cheshire then charged at him with her say, trying to hide her shame as it was, and cut off Naruto's face. Naruto simply backed away from her attacks, laughing, but not in a mocking manner, more like, "This is a good time." He jumped back when she went for the crown of Naruto's pride. "You're finished." All 3 of the young villains suddenly leapt at Naruto. "Sorry, But I have to cut this game short, Naruto said, sending all three of the villains flying in different directions with the words, "Almighty push." However, hey, we'll play again later. Naruto leapt through the hole he created earlier, when Megan had assisted Artemis and Supergirl in doing so. Dr. Psycho was not pleased. "Leave it alone," he shouted into this unbroken communication system. "Simple money, huh?" Ravenger sarcastically questioned Red X. Red X turned to face Ravenger and Cheshire, who were both scowling at him. "Hey, you can't blame me for this one," he said. "Come on, I could have easily handled the other two. We don't know that new guy. Let's leave. Since we aren't getting paid, we should withdraw our money and leave immediately. I'm going to shave that guy's balls off when I see him, but I don't want to see him anytime soon." Cheshire was furious beyond belief. Lobby. Naruto was leaving through the front door, along with the group of young heroes. "Wing it. Wing it. What a fantastic plan you had." As Naruto caught up to them, Artemis screamed at him. "What? It was successful." As Artemis glared at him, Naruto grinned and said, "Why so serious? I'd say we made a great team back there, team. I mean, I like to be bold, but isn't leaving through the front door a bit much?" Supergirl asked, continuing to rely on Artemis and Megan for assistance. "All we had to do was make it to the lobby and be safe. I'll do that soon." Boom. The front door was gone, and in its place was a tan-skinned, gorse-looking man with spikes protruding from his arms, shoulders, head, and everywhere else. His eyes were glowing, and Naruto and the girls covered their faces. Wary. He gave them a growl. "All right. What the devil was this thing that Naruto was staring at?" "You like it? I obtained some Doomsday DNA and combined it with some Kryptonian DNA that I had previously taken from Superman," Dr. Psycho declared. "I call this monster Super Doomsday Man." Everyone watched. "Super Doomsday Man? Really? Really? You're a psycho. It was illegal to create such a creature," Naruto said, adding, "You are a monster, Mr. Madman. You could have come up with a better name for this thing. To be honest, I never imagined that I would live to witness a man as awful as Orochimaru, if not worse. I appreciate you proving me incorrect." As this Doomsday clone charged at the group, Naruto said, "I'll give you this one warning. If I see you again, you'd better be reformed. If not, you're dead." "Almighty push," Naruto returned it. "Get Supergirl and Artemis out of here, please." Naruto assured them that he would deal with the Super Reject Man. "However, you can't. That thing has both of their DNA, and Doomsday is just as strong as Superman. You'll get creamed." Supergirl expressed concern for Naruto's welfare. "I defeated men who professed to be gods, Supergirl. I used the strength of the man who was worshipped as a god in my world to defeat a man. I defeated a man whose power was so great that it dwarfed Superman's power by a factor of 100. Naruto approached this Doomsday clone and said, "This thing is nothing to them, so it's nothing to me." The clone became good friends with the lab wall, and when it charged at Naruto without thinking, he knocked it away with one hand. "What? Are you still present?" Naruto urged the girls to get moving. "Right." Megan was startled, but not as much as Supergirl and Artemis. Although this clone lacked the strength of Doomsday or Superman, it would still be difficult for them to defeat. However, Naruto was slapping it around like Bane would a police officer, and it charged mindlessly once more. "Is that your only option? You are a pathetic, mindless beast. But it's not your fault." Naruto jumped when it brought its hand down to smash Naruto. Naruto then slammed his fist on the top of the Doomsday clone's head, sending it face first into the ground. Naruto then got on top of him and grabbed his face. "I will end your torment." Then, knowing what he had to do, Naruto absorbed the power of all of Superman's cells and Doomsday's cells, and after a minute or so, he returned to his normal appearance as a 25-year-old man. "How and what? How could you have done that? It shouldn't be possible. In any case, Mystery Man, I have more test subjects to send your way. Next time, I'll get you." Dr. Psycho was furious. "Mr. Madman, I'm going to tell you this now. You'd better be changed by the time I see you again. A third time won't happen." Mr. Madman switched the screen off. Supergirl was on the ground, practically screaming in agony, when Naruto discovered the girls. "What's the matter?" With fear, he asked. "Her system contains too much kryptonite. It's killing her, Megan informed Naruto. We must return her to Mount Justice as soon as possible. Hold on to me. They were in the Mount Justice Medical Center in an instant after Artemis grabbed his shoulder and Megan his other hand. I'll get us there, Naruto said, grabbing Supergirl's hand. Hang in there, Supergirl, I'll help you. What? How? Artemis glanced around, unsure of how they had returned. Not right now. Megan locates Superboy and Power Girl, who must be present to assist Supergirl. To get that kryptonite stuff out of her system, Artemis, I need a few buckets of water right now. Okay. Artemis located several metal buckets and filled them with water while Megan started using her mind to find the two Kryptonians. Power Girl and Superboy hurried into the medical wing almost at once. Supergirl. How is she? With a hint of fear, Superboy asked. Power Girl and Superboy, I need you both to restrain her. She will thrash around and it will hurt, but I can get that kryptonite stuff out of her. She might die as a result of that. Can we assist? Naruto turned to see Kid Flash, Robin, and Aqualad. Not unless you're able to restrain Supergirl without needing to be transported back. They simply lacked the raw power, so Naruto told them, Megan, I need you to help hold her down. Okay. Megan questioned whether she could pull it off. Superwoman, Superwoman. To the chagrin of Megan, Artemis, and Power Girl, Naruto took her hand and said, hold her down. Megan and the other two Kryptonians used all of their strength to hold her down. Supergirl, I'm going to connect my chakra with your body. She yelled in agony as Naruto said, that will only hurt a little. He collected some of the water in his hands and put them on her bare stomach. When they heard the commotion, Naruto was too focused on assisting Supergirl to notice Superman and Batman entering. He whispered, what comes next, more so. She then screamed in agony as everyone present saw something extraordinary and never before seen. The kryptonite was being violently removed from Supergirl's body, but more amazing was the fact that Superboy, Power Girl, and Superman were not becoming weaker as a result of being near it. Naruto threw the kryptonite in the second bucket Artemis had brought for him. Supergirl, this will take some time. Hang in there, Naruto said, then grinned and shocked his head. At times, he loved clones almost as much as he loved his Rasengan and all of its varieties. Red. X and Cheshire Ravenger a few minutes ago. No one was more enraged than Cheshire, Ravenger, and Red. X as they left the lab where the strange blonde kicked a Doomsday clone's ass. They had also taken their money, which was in unmarked $100 bills. Hey, you can't blame me for this. How could I have known that the doctor would defraud us? Red. X stood up for himself. Ravenger told Red. X, well, you could have checked the payment, for one. Red. X defended himself once more, saying, I did, it was legit. Yes. This little green sheet should probably contain a man named Benjamin, Cheshire said, grabbing several $100 bills. No photo of that crazy doctor. Cheshire pointed out that Dr. Psycho threw them at X after placing his own face on the $100 bill. Red. X noted that, you're just mad because your new boyfriend got the better of you. My boyfriend isn't him. Cheshire was very happy that she was wearing a mask at the moment. But he did get the better of you. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. Have I defeated you all, though? The blonde-haired young man who beat them like they were beginners caught everyone's attention as they turned around. You. Return it. Not remembering to keep her kimono closed, Cheshire lunged at him, exposing a good amount of skin to Naruto. I like my new trophy, Naruto said, smirking as he sidestepped her. Naruto stated, I have a warning for you three. I intend to hang it in my trophy case, next to all my other trophies I intend to get in this world. Never again work for that crazy man. If not, I'll be less polite and simply take the scarf from the naughty Neko. With a voice so grave that it sent shivers down their spines, Naruto threatened to kill both of them. Hold on, murder? Do you heroes not have that justice will prevail code in place? Or has that changed over the past half hour? Ravenger inquired. No, I am not a hero, and that didn't change. In any case, not to this world. I brought world peace to my world, or at least gave it a chance if those old farts don't screw it up. The heroes in this world are too idealistic, even for me. They will probably know them. The point is, don't accept Dr. Madman's second job offer. Don't worry, he made a mistake with the payment. Therefore, we will no longer be working for him. In an attempt to please this blonde man, Red X said, "There are no issues here." Naruto threw 3 kunai to the ground in front of them and said, "Good. I can tell you that 3 are different from the others based on this. This world needs people who don't mind getting their hands dirty. If you get into any trouble, even with this place's laws, throw those things to the ground and I'll get there sooner than that flashy guy who says he's the fastest man alive." Cheshire continued to glare at Naruto, saying, "Oh, and naughty Neko-chan. I'm going to keep this with me." He took a long sniff of it, saying, "Ah, the smell of the forest and milk, no surprise. The only thing fast about that guy is his mouth and how long he can last." Naruto grinned. Kitty got to have her cream. "Ah." Cheshire attempted to remove his eyes with his claws, but was unsuccessful as he disappeared in smoke. Naruto is the name, by the way. Uzumaki Naruto Namikaze. The Six Paths Second Sage. The Six Paths Sage? Ravenger inquired. "How would you describe that superhero name?" Red X appeared astonished. Back at Mount Justice with Naruto. The last of the kryptonite was taken out of Supergirl by Naruto, who grinned at the memory. Oh, how he loves to piss off beautiful girls with temper problems, especially one that can kick ass with the best of them. This wasn't a poison like this jutsu was meant for, but it was a poison for these Kryptonians, apparently, so it didn't act like a poison inside of Supergirl, which is interesting. Naruto gave the green liquid inside the water sphere a look. Superman asked the young blonde, "Naruto." Naruto turned to face the Man of Steel. "I would appreciate it if you destroyed the kryptonite." "Destroy it? Why? Are you not interested in studying it? Supergirl, Power Girl, and Superboy, to see why it hurts you?" Naruto inquired. "I am sufficiently aware that it is fatal to us. I just need to know that," he said. Naruto turned to face the man and said, "Very well. If you have a weakness, know everything you can about it because your enemy will definitely try to use it against you." Naruto looked at the kryptonite in the sphere and then used his power to destroy it. He wondered why something like this would be dangerous to Kryptonians, but he had to know because 3 of his friends were weak against it. "I will respect your wishes," Naruto said. The next day, Supergirl, Kara woke up in the hospital bed, the majority of the previous day being a blur, with a terrible headache, a sore body, and hunger. Then, a divine aroma filled her nostrils, and she looked to her right to see that it was breakfast, pancakes, bacon, and sausage, with a glass of milk and OJ on the side, toast, and her favorite strawberry syrup. Supergirl had already begun to dig in when Naruto entered, wiping her face with a napkin and grinning at him. "Oh, you're awake. Greetings, Naruto. How are you?" She was still eating when she asked. "Good, enjoying your breakfast I see." As she ate, Supergirl nodded. "Yes. Have you arrived?" With a hint of hope in her voice, she inquired. "Yes, even though I'm not very good at cooking, I can make a decent breakfast if I have the necessary ingredients." Naruto told her, "As long as I have milk, I'm good." Supergirl began stretching to try to work out some kinks after Naruto helped her finish her breakfast in bed and they began talking. "Affected?" Naruto inquired. "Yeah. Well," Naruto smiled at her in a perverted and eerie way. He told her, "I know a way to work out some of those kinks." After a while, Megan wanted to ask Naruto a question, so she was searching the area for him. "Oh my god, yes." Megan froze. Having watched a lot of Earth-sourced television while living on Mars, including one episode where she even watched a story, she hurried to the source of the sound. "Deeper, Naruto." Deeper. She recognized that voice as Supergirl's and she wanted to peek inside, but she was too scared. Then she considered looking into Supergirl's head, but that idea was dashed when she realized how much time she had spent watching TV, so she just listened. "Oh, May. Yes, this was going to be a lengthy eavesdrop session." Megan's green face turned red. A little while later, after being late for their training for nearly an hour, Artemis was wondering where Megan had gone and could not find her. "Oh god." Artemis stopped, recognized the voice as Supergirl's, and hurried to the medical wing around the corner, where she discovered Megan standing with her ear against the door. "Megan? Why are you?" "Be quiet." She was shushed by Megan, who also pulled her to the ground. "What's up with you?" Artemis whispered the question. "Oh my god, Naruto. Why did I wait so long to ask?" Megan said, gesturing toward the door. Supergirl exclaimed with delight. Then, right next to Megan, Artemis' face turned red. I'm not sure, she said. Whoa, that's that location, huh? Naruto grunted as he spoke. Oh, of course, continue. I have days to do this, Supergirl uttered those words. So can I? Megan was not listening to Artemis. And later on, once more, Kid Flash ran, as he always does, until he found one of the two girls to ask if he could get a date with, and then he saw both of them with their ears pressed against the door. Hey girls, how, he said, but Megan and Artemis interrupted him. Silent, Artemis murmured. What do the two of you do? Kid Flash inquired. Yes. Supergirl cried out, and then, because he is a hormonal teenage boy, he got a bloody nose. He then pressed his ear to the door and listened. Oh God, yes, yes. Kid Flash's nose became more and more bloody. And again after a little while. Damn it, Naruto, deeper, harder. Robin heard something he never would have imagined hearing while he was going about his own business. He then froze. He ran to the medical wing and saw Megan, Artemis and Kid Flash all pressed up to the door. He made his way to them. What are you guys doing? Be quiet. Kid Flash dragged him down with them after shushing him. Does that Supergirl appeal to you? I now understand why you are referred to as the Maiden of Steel. You can tolerate a beating, Naruto said. I can, indeed. Supergirl responded. Why don't you help a girl out? I need some stress relief. No problem. Get ready for the best glass breaking of your life. After a few seconds, oh yes, Robin's nose started to bleed. And again a little while later, Power Girl said that the rest of the team went to the med wing and never returned, so Superboy wondered where they went. Perhaps they were checking on Supergirl, and he would too, given what she was. Yes, Naruto, Superboy, who knew that kind of cry was a cry of pleasure, froze. He hurried to save Supergirl so she wouldn't be defiled, but Megan stopped him as he turned the corner. What are you, shush? He was shushed by the entire group, and Megan told him to listen. Naruto's voice could be heard around the door, saying, Oh Supergirl, so many points that are sensitive. Supergirl said to Naruto, I know you can reach them, you have such a magical sync turned on then off, I know you can reach it. Well, only one way to find out. After a few seconds, oh, that's exactly right, yes, it was a long day. Another period of time later, after about 2 hours of listening, Megan and Artemis blushed at what they were hearing. How can someone endure this long? How can she still scream, Supergirl or not? However, the guys were envious because, man, about 30% of the male population would kill to watch this guy perform Supergirl. What are you guys? Aqualad began, but was interrupted by the subsequent shout. Ah! He was about to charge in when he heard Supergirl yell, Yes, Naruto. Yes. Then he froze, blushed, and started bleeding from the nose. He would also see a lot of blood coming from the boys, mainly from Kid Flash and Robin. Aqualad stopped talking and began to listen in like the other members of the team. You understand. Naruto was supposed to be at the training ground approximately 3 hours ago, but he simply disappeared while Power Girl was strolling down the hallway. Oh my goodness, yes. Many people were freezing today, including Power Girl, who had heard the outburst coming from the medical wing. This Supergirl is mine. Naruto Namikaze Uzu. Fucking. Maki is the best at this, Naruto shouted. Give me what you have. Not that anyone could see, Supergirl grinned as she said, Naruto Uzu. Fucking. Maki. A challenge, huh? Now let's talk. Wow. Yes, yes, yes. At this point, the boys' bloody noses grew larger while the girls' blushes brightened. On the other hand, one girl did not fit the description. Her hero name was Power Girl, and she was currently extremely angry, trembling not from cold or fear but from rage. Megan noticed this at that moment and turned around to see Power Girl furious. Oh.no. Megan shoved everyone aside as Power Girl hurried to the door. Naruto. The poor door flew into the room when she punched it. Naruto saw this inside the room. Shit. He saw the door fly by where his head would have been, and he ducked just in time. Naruto huh? Power Girl rushed into the room, ready to slap him with a stick of red paste. She glanced at the scene, where Naruto was massaging Supergirl's back. What the devil? Naruto shouted. Yes, Naruto was rubbing my back in a really nice way. So, you two weren't. Megan blushed at the sounds that her mind conjured up. Supergirl and Naruto both said, weren't what? Simultaneously. The Power Girl head slapped herself for being duped and said, a misunderstanding. It was all a misunderstanding. Supergirl and Naruto weren't entirely sure what they were thinking. Supergirl milked the entire week that had elapsed since then. Every day, Power Girl grew more and more envious, and if one looked closely, one could see sparks flying between the girls as Naruto and his magic fingers massaged her back while she ate breakfast in bed. Soon after, Power Girl demanded that Naruto also give her back rubs. If it weren't for Artemis' tough girl persona and Megan's shyness, Naruto would be rubbing 4 girls' backs every day. However, that came to an end as soon as Supergirl recovered, and she and Power Girl were forced to depart. Although nothing happened for another week, it was anything but dull. Cabin fever was setting in for Naruto. And bad things happen when Naruto has cabin fever. One day, Naruto was on board, and on Monday, Naruto entered Kid Flash's room covertly. He located KF's shoes and had super glue. The following morning, Naruto was in Superboy's room on Tuesday. He carried a feather and a bucket of frozen water. He smiled. The following morning, Naruto found his way into Aqualad's room on Wednesday. He was carrying a black marker. The following morning, I wonder if Kisame can see me now? Naruto. Thursday. Naruto was in Robin's room. Since his room was filled only with Robin clothing, the child was obsessed. Naruto pulled his seal tags out. The child needed to relax. The following morning, Naruto. Friday. He initially intended to forego Artemis, but her constant seriousness gave her a Batman vibe. Hence, he required an additional trophy. Oh, Artemis would have been furious. The following morning, Naruto. Megan was too kind to play a practical joke, so he skipped her on Saturday. He then went to a bat cave after leaving the mountain. Sunday. He rested on Sunday. The next week, everyone was a little irate and took more time to protect their rooms from Naruto. KF was still attempting to remove his shoes. As you can see, Naruto had glued them to his uniform, trapping him inside. Wearing his uniform, he just showered. When KF acknowledged that he needed the assistance, Naruto promised to undo it. After swallowing his pride, Aqualad requested that Naruto remove the art he had drawn on his face. Aqualad never imagined that he would detest fire so much. Superboy's head was covered in ice, the same substance that initially caused the bump. Yes, he would somehow bring Naruto back. Naruto was the target of Robin's glare. He had adopted Robin customs and swapped out all of his Robin attire. The Robin bird custom. And Artemis. Well, let's just say that Naruto now has a sister ribbon and a scarf that match. Megan had no idea why everyone was staring at Naruto, but Artemis was less of a target because she was chasing him across the mountain. Naruto was surrounded by Artemis and Megan, who were both stealing looks at him. The door then opened. First to look, Robin and KF hoped it was a mission to temporarily distract themselves from Naruto. Then, when they saw what had entered, Robin and KF spit out their drinks. There was a man dressed like a rat, with some thin-looking bat wings taped to the back. The Batman, however, was not just any man wearing a rat costume with wings taped to the back. There was a little giggle at first, followed by a stiff laugh, and then Robin and Kid Flash couldn't help but laugh. There was complete silence. Aqualad had to turn to conceal his smile as Superboy grinned while suppressing a laugh. As any girl would in this circumstance, Megan and Artemis pretended not to notice. On the inside, though, they were laughing like Robin and KF. Naruto, a harmless little devil with a halo over his head that was supported by his horns, was the only one who did not react. Naruto snapped a photo and said, "I always knew you were a flying rat Batman, now everyone can see it more clearly." As the larger man, Batman had the grace to ask Naruto to reverse his actions. He asked, "Undo this now." Batman changed from flying ratman to Batman after Naruto snapped his figures, saying, alright geese, can't take a joke." The bat glare was intensified by Batman and given to the others. The Young Justice team was instructed by this bat glare to say anything, and disappear forever. Batman addressed the group of teenagers, saying, "I have a simple mission for all of you. and I mean all of you. Naruto asked, sarcastically, oh, the rat, I mean Batman trusts me to leave this prison, I mean mountain? Batman scowled once more. In any case, I need your group too. Acknowledging Wonder Woman 8.3. Batman and the others pondered Wonder Woman's presence. Hey Batman. We need your help, said Wonder Woman, pleased to have caught him. Thank goodness you're here. We? Wonder Woman informed him. My mother Queen Hippolyta and my sisters at the Mysteria need your help. What's wrong? Batman inquired. Queen Hippolyta doesn't ask for assistance every year, even if it were from him. We don't know how or why, but a lot of my Amazon sisters are in comas. My mother thinks it's some kind of poison. Many of my Amazon sisters are also missing. They were probably abducted. Someone has to assist us. Batman, please. Wonder Woman begged. My mother thinks you're the only one who can help us. Wonder Woman was a proud warrior who wouldn't beg like this unless absolutely desperate, as Naruto could tell from their brief altercation a few weeks prior. Alright, this will turn out well, he just knows it. Batman had to take everything he had just heard and what he knew about his team. He trusted all of them enough, but Naruto. However, Naruto hasn't really given him much to work with in terms of trust, but if this was a poison and he couldn't crack it, then he would need Naruto's help, even if he didn't trust him. Hopefully, he wouldn't need Naruto. Alright, he would be a great help finding the missing Amazons. I'll bring my group. Batman almost said that with contempt, including Naruto. After finishing his ramen, which Megan had prepared, Naruto said, hate you too, Flying Rat Man. He loved Megan's cooking, and she was just glad that someone shared Naruto's appreciation for it. Batman had to get ready, so he told the team, get ready, we leave in 15 minutes, no longer. Meet in the hangar with Megan's bio. Ship. Being the first person there, Naruto was shocked and impressed when Megan first showed him her bio. Ship, telling her it was really awesome. In order to assist Queen Hippolyta, the group boarded the bio. Ship and traveled to the Mysteria, the home of the Amazons. Okay. I'll end this chapter here because I originally planned to do so after they finished the Mysteria, but that would have taken too long. Create another scene with a body rub. Megan realized this at that moment and turned around to see Power Girl furious. Oh.no. Megan shoved everyone aside as Power Girl hurried to the door. Naruto. Megan stopped her before she could punch the door. Hold on. I've watched shows and films from Earth. Megan remarked. I'm positive Naruto is just giving her a back rub. To all of them, that was very meaningful. You know what, Megan, you're right. That must be all they're doing, Power Girl said, calming down. Megan was left alone as the other members of the group scattered. As he opened the door, Naruto said, thanks Megan. Do I receive my prize? Megan posed the question with optimism. Obviously. Naruto drew Megan into the room and said, there's one trip to heaven on Earth on the Naruto train ride coming up. So, is Megan coming along? Supergirl replied. Nude on the medial bed with her legs spread wide. Good. I can't keep up with the stamina god here. Megan reddened. Don't be alarmed, Megan. Are you prepared to enter paradise? 1 year later. Come back here. Never in hell. Superman was moving faster than light on his ass, and Naruto was running faster than light. In Superman's mind, Martian Manhunter said, Superman, please calm down. You would be doing what I will be doing if you knew he got Megan pregnant as well, Superman replied. John initially said nothing. The one you are chasing is a clone. The real one is back at Mount Justice currently working on giving you a second grandchild. What a bitch that son is, John, damn it, Naruto shouted to John. To Queen Hippolyta's aid, the group boarded the bio ship and traveled to the Mysteria, the home of the Amazons, even though Kid Flash was the most eager to get there. Alright, pay attention. The Amazons' home, the Mysteria, is where we're going. You need to be aware of certain rules. If they discover you, they will imprison you before killing you, if not kill you outright because they despise all men. I am unable to assist you if you are caught. That goes for all of the guys on the team, Batman told the Bat. Wing team on the bio shop. So, don't get caught if you have testosterone levels, Naruto said with a smile. That means, Kid Flash, control your hormones. Naruto grinned. Dude. Batman groaned, and everyone heard it. This isn't a joke. I can't help you if you're caught. Naruto remarked, we hear ya Ratman, I mean Batman. Batman was reconsidering his decision to allow Naruto to enter. Wonder Woman told him, that boy is quite disrespectful. Batman moaned once more. They arrived at the Mischira after another hour or so. All right, guys stay here, and girls are free to leave. Naruto wished them luck, Megan and Artemis. Hey, who made you the boss? With a figure in Naruto's chest, Robin posed the question. I'm the only person who has experienced such a setting. I am aware of how to behave in this kind of circumstance. Have you ever found yourself in a hostile situation where you were powerless to defend yourself and had to accept your fate? In return, Naruto inquired. No, all right. I'll take the initiative on this after that. With that Aqualad, are you cool? As Aqualad put it, yes, that is fine. The group gathered after landing the bio ship and said, Artemis, Megan, you two have the go-ahead of this place. Stick with Batman unless he says otherwise, we will wait until the coast is clear before we move out. Before Artemis and she left the ship, Megan said, okay Naruto, be safe everyone. Yes, stay safe. Artemis remarked teasingly, I'd hate to get my ribbon back without a fight. Naruto grinned as they stepped off the ship and remarked, she digs me. Digging your grave, does indeed dig you. Robin told him, I'm willing to wager that she would sell you down the river with these Amazons if we weren't present. Naruto joked, yeah, all the more reason why she loves me. As he accompanied Wonder Woman to Queen Hippolyta, he led Megan and Artemis. Batman reminded the two young heroines, now remember, best behavior when meeting Queen Hippolyta you two. Both of them said, yes sir. They needed a few more, but Wonder Woman's smile at the young heroines was exactly what they needed. Perhaps the gods would grant Batman and his team a few young Amazons to make them happy. Batman was escorted into the Queen's throne room along with Wonder Woman and his two young heroines. Wonder Woman addressed Queen Hippolyta, saying, Mother, I have brought Batman as you have asked. Ah, Batman, I'm so glad to see you once more. Queen Hippolyta grinned at the prospect of being one of the few men in the world that she could respect, as she turned to face Batman after looking at her people and the danger they all face. He bowed to her and said, it is a pleasure to see you once more Queen Hippolyta. But Hippolyta noticed two young girls behind her daughter and Batman. How are these you bring with you, Batman? She asked. She asked, a little suspiciously, because she was a queen and had to defend her home before she could trust Batman. These two young heroines are members of my team, Young Justice, Batman said when introducing them. This is the niece of Artemis and Megan, the Martian Manhunter. Queen Hippolyta. Artemis bowed her head. Megan bowed equally low and said, it is an honor to meet you Queen Hippolyta. Such promising young heroines you have there Batman. Queen Hippolyta grinned. I'm grateful, Queen. Batman started, now, let's talk about this plague that is threatening your people. Certainly. About a week ago, it began. At first, I assumed it was just a scammer's illness, but as time went on, more and more of my people fell ill. I'm afraid of those who don't wake up at all. Additionally, we have looked everywhere but have been unable to locate about a dozen of my Amazons. I ask God to grant you the ability to assist, if not you, then these two people you brought along. My people are still harmed by this plague, and our magic is ineffective. The only person I know who can assist is you. I'll show you the hospital if you accompany me, Queen Hippolyta explained. Certainly. Batman told them, Artemis, stay with me for the time being, Megan. Yes sir. At the ship again. Whoa, look at it, Donna. A blonde told her friend, some outsider ship. Is Batman returning? That seems to be his, Donna said. If we could board and depart from the Mischira, wouldn't that be awesome? The other one repeated, to see the outside world. What about the other one, though? Is our island inhabited by foreigners? Cassie, I don't like this, Donna said. You're right, hey, keep quiet. When Cassie heard voices, she covered Donna's mouth. Inside the vessel. All right, I believe everything is in order. It's time for the strategy now. You're the best stealth player on your team, Robin. You'll hang out in the city and check to see if anything is missed. These Amazons seem to place a high importance on honor, so stay in the shadows and you'll be all right. Right. Kid Flash explores the forest. Try to figure out how these Amazons are being tainted. However, remain there. communicate with the rest of the team through Megan, and keep as quiet as possible, okay? KF responded, sure, yeah, no problem. Aqualad, unless these Amazons are blind, I think that whoever did this, if it is a man-made plague, they came from under the water. Find out about those submarines I've read about. Work your way around, starting in the south. If I have a lead that could be useful to you, I'll let you know. Utilize Megan once more to interact with the other members of the team. Right. You have the Forest Patrol, too, Superboy. I think they're doing this underground, in a mountain, or something similar. Try using your X-ray vision to locate their headquarters and, if possible, the missing Amazons. I'll say it again. Do not engage unless at least 2 of us are present. You're strong, but you could get hurt by whoever poisoned these people. So, be careful and stay in the shadows, okay? Yeah, I got it. All right, tell Megan about anything you find, and she'll let me know. You got that, Megan? Yes. Okay, stay safe and in the shadows. What are you going to do, hey? Asked Robin. I'll alternate between the city and the forest. I'm doing what I can. Is everyone aware of what they must do? Everyone nodded. All right, then, one more thing. Don't screw up. Proceed. After exiting the bio ship, the group split up, with Kid Flash heading off towards the forest while sticking to alleys. Robin remaining in the city's shadows. Aqualad running to the water to start scouting, and Naruto also heading off towards the forest. Donna, did you notice that? Cassie inquired. I did, of course, Cassie. On our island, there are foreigners. We ought to discuss this with Queen Hippolyta, Donna informed Cassie. Hold on, they might point us in the direction of whoever is involved. I propose that we follow them, Cassie said. Donna considered it. All right, but how? The spiky blonde one, I say. Cassie noted, he appears to be the leader of that group of men. The 2 girls left after him, saying, okay, let's find him and bring him to Queen Hippolyta. Alongside Batman. While Wonder Woman was saddened to see her sisters in such a state, Batman maintained his emotionless face as he was led to the hospital, where dozens of Amazons lay in beds, ill. Artemis was also saddened to see such suffering, but Megan could feel the anguish and sadness these Amazons were experiencing, and it was nearly unbearable. Who were the initial casualties? Did Batman ask. Come on. The first person was a small child. Everyone had the same thought. A child? They arrived to find a small girl sitting next to what appeared to be her mother, praying and hoping. She saw Queen Hippolyta at that moment. My queen. Any updates? She asked with hope, knowing that her daughter would be the first to pass away. Queen Hippolyta shook her head no. I need to take a blood sample, said the Batman, who everyone knows from the Mistira, as he approached. Batman tells them, I might be able to make a cure with it. Of course, Batman. Batman took the sample and many others to help him, and after hours of testing, he discovered only one thing. The more you take, the more deadly it is. He had a timeline for when a victim would die, and a child had no more than 9 days from infection to day, whereas an adult had only 14. With time running out, he was unable to find a cure, and he detested the thought of what he might have to do next. The statement, Queen Hippolyta, I need to speak to you in private. Yes, this will not end well, but that's all. But the other members of his team weren't merely playing cards, they were also working on the situation. Robin was exploring the east end of town when he noticed something interesting and decided to follow it. A pair of Amazons passed by, and since he was high, he was fine, but they took a drink of water and then collapsed a few seconds later. 2 eerie men then emerged from the shadows and started to take them away, but Robin wasn't going to put up with that, so after a 10-second beating, he tied them up on a tree and blew up to alert anyone nearby. He then took the water bottle, which still contained some water. This could be promising. After finding a somewhat secure location, he called Megan. Megan informed Naruto that the cult of Cobra is present. They may have contaminated the water. 2 Amazons passed out after consuming their water from a bottle. Thanks, Robin. I will. He was exploring the forest near the waterhole with Naruto when he entered his new Sage mode and felt a poisonous feeling in the water. He then located the small river. Megan, inform Kid Flash that the water is tainted. I doubt that anyone could approach this location unnoticed. Tell him to find out how. I'll do well, Naruto. He was running through the forest with Kid Flash to see if he could find any information about how the water was poisoned based on Naruto's lead. At first, he saw nothing, but then he stopped when he noticed two tigers bathing. Nothing unusual, isn't it? Well, these tigers were purple at first, but they turned normal when the water contained whatever purple substance was in it. Megan, this is Kid Flash, and I believe I know how it got into the water supply without anyone knowing. Maybe it was from the cobra venom junk we battled last week, but the water is now all purple after two tigers dipped in it. Well done, Kid Flash. I'll let Naruto know. Oh, if only she had the same affection for me as she did for Naruto. He talked to both of our team's attractive girls, damn him. He shouted to himself before taking off. Naruto was correct. Aqualad was close to the northern end of the Mistira and had checked a lot of water by now, but nothing had appeared until he spotted the submarine he was searching for. Megan, let Naruto know that the cult of Cobra symbol is on a submarine located at the island's northernmost point. Well done. I'll let him know. Megan informed Naruto about Aqualad's discovery and instructed him to tell him to go to the north end of the Mistira with Superboy. He noticed a mountain that didn't seem right, so he used his X-ray vision, and sure enough, it was there. I see Cobra guys and the missing Amazons. Tell Naruto that a mountain at the north end of the mountain is their base, Megan said. All right, I'll let him know. Well done, Superboy. 20 minutes prior. Queen Hippolyta wondered what Batman had to say, so he took her somewhere they could spec alone. There isn't much good news from my queen. He must have some news because he said, I've run test after test and nothing I have can cure your Amazons. Queen Hippolyta didn't like that, no one bit, but she let him continue. First, I discovered that the poison is only lethal if a large dosage has been taken. Unfortunately, many of your Amazons have taken a lethal dose. She knew Batman well enough to know that he wouldn't simply tell her to give up, even though Queen Hippolyta appeared to be furious. And, she was aware that he did. I know someone who might be able to help, he said, taking a breath. Before Supergirl died, he was able to extract a deadly dose of kryptonite from her. Superman could have been killed by the abundance. However, he used his power to take it away from her. He made sure Queen Hippolyta heard the word, a lot. Where is this man? Is he really able to assist my Amazons? She asked, defying all her moral convictions by asking a man for assistance. I am aware of his location. Batman assured her that even though he might not like Naruto, he would not kill him. But I need your word that you won't kill him should he fail or succeed. After giving it some thought and examining her Amazons and people, Queen Hippolyta asked herself, do you trust him to save my people? Pride would kill them, but a man could help them, she inquired. If she asked, do you trust him? Batman would have to lie, so he thanked any god who would listen that she phrased it that way. Yes, he replied. Excellent. I will spare his life if he aids my people. Bring him here, Batman, she said, a hint of hatred in her voice. At once, Batman located Megan, who was able to locate Naruto more quickly than anyone else. Megan instructed Naruto to come to our location and proceed directly to our location. As long as he stays in the shadows when he arrives, assure him that it is safe to come and that it is crucial that he arrives as quickly as possible. Yes, Sir Batman. Naruto Batman needs you here at the hospital. Please stay in the shadows, it's safe here. Well, you have that try. Kunai I gave you? Wow, Batman needs me? Yes. Then, I have to take care of something first. Throw it down in a minute, and I'll be there in a second. All right. Alongside Naruto. When Naruto felt two strong signatures behind him, not surprisingly, practically everyone on the Mistira gave a strong signature. He decided to call out to them after sealing up the sample of poisoned water, which he would need if he needed to make a cure for this stuff if Batman couldn't. You're free to leave now. Two Amazons emerged from hiding after he said, I know you've been following me since I left the ship. Damn, all Amazons are hot. Can I help you? He inquired courteously. You're accompanying us. If you have done any outside magic that has caused our sisters to become ill, you will reverse it. Cassie screamed at the blonde man, then you will die. What are you assuming that I poisoned your sister, Amazon? Naruto calmly informed the girl. I only just arrived here an hour ago and only heard about this earlier today. You're the only man here besides Batman, and you're a man. You must be the one, Cassie shouted once more. I'm heading to the hospital, but I'll be there if you need me, Naruto said. shucking his head. Batman called me there. Naruto traveled to the hospital using his flying thunder god jutsu. Cassie, we must pursue him, right? Cassie and Donna both went in search of this man. Megan, Artemis, Batman, and Queen Hippolyta were all shocked when Naruto appeared in front of them. However, for Batman, it was just another ability to add to Naruto's list of abilities, such as instant teleportation or something similar. Queen Hippolyta frowned at him, but if Batman claimed he could save her Amazons, he would survive. She was taken aback by something, not his age, but rather the strength and the pain in his eyes, which she had never imagined seeing on a child so young in her life, not even on an Amazon. This is Naruto Uzumaki, the man I mentioned to you, Queen Hippolyta. Batman practically prayed that Naruto would show respect. This is Queen Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons and of the Mistira, Naruto said. Batman sighed with relief as Naruto bowed low and said, "It is an honor to meet you, Queen Hippolyta. You have need of me?" Knowing the answer, he asked. Naruto, can you use the poison in these Amazons to perform the same feat you did with Supergirl? Batman knew he could, so he asked. Yes, but this is a true poison rather than a weakness because it differs slightly from Supergirl's kryptonite. It will require a bit more time, Naruto replied. What are you in need of? Queen Hippolyta is speaking to this new man in a level tone. He replied, a bucket of water and to see one of the first few infected. Megan had already gotten the water, and they were outside the room with the first one infected. He prepared himself by saying, either hold her down or strap her down. Artemis and Megan were holding her down, and Naruto approached the girl's ear and said, Sweetie, I'm going to link up my chakra to your body. That will only hurt a little. He made sure she heard him, and he forced his chakra into her body with the water around his hands. The child's mother was tired of this man, and he told her, what comes next, more so. A few Amazon guards rushed in to see what was wrong, only to discover a man over one of their young. They were about to charge in and kill him, but their queen told them to stop, so everyone started to object to what was happening. Amazingly, to them, the young girl screamed bloody murder for the next 10 minutes as Naruto forced the poison out of her system. After 10 minutes, Naruto stopped. He addressed them all, saying, I bought her some time, but in order for her to be cured I need to make the antidote. How? I tried that already, Batman told him, and while I'm sure you did a fantastic job, my approach differs greatly from yours and my grandmother's. My method is the most effective even though it is much more taxing on the body. Depending on the complexity of this poison, this could take up to 10 minutes or an hour, he responded. Do you know what the antidote would require? Yes, my grandmother forced me to perform it 300 times straight until I could do it without making a mistake. Believe me when I say that I can create the counteragent. Batman, I don't fully trust this man, Naruto said as he walked away holding the poison. I want you to watch him as well, so I'll have 2 of my best watch him. Queen Hippolyta told him to make sure he wasn't doing anything that bothered her. My queen, of course, but who will you designate? She grinned and said, oh, Cassie and Donna, would you mind taking that poison with our new man guest wherever he goes? She asked in a way that was obvious to everyone that it was a command. Of course my queen. Both girls said simultaneously as they fell from their hiding spot. They trailed Naruto into a tiny, silent room. I take it that the queen wants you 3 to keep an eye on me. Then all I ask is that you be quiet. I must concentrate on this or it will take longer to find a cure for your sick sisters, Naruto said for the 3 of them, who nodded. Since Naruto is now the new sage of the 6 paths, he can perform his jutsu much more quickly. Tsunade wished she could, but the level of chakra required was that of a Jinchuriki only. In the middle of the scroll, which was roughly 3 feet long and 3 feet wide, Naruto placed a complicated seal array that he had created for this kind of thing. He poured the poisoned water onto the seal array, then directed his chakra into the water, causing it to rise off the ground. A purple sphere, the poison, and a sphere of water appeared. When his onlookers saw the hairline cracks on the glass on the poison sphere, they were shocked. Was he already figuring out what the poison was? 10 minutes later, Naruto's eyes opened and he said, got it? A tiny scroll appeared when Naruto tapped his right forearm, and Batman mentally noted it as well. Donna and Cassie thought it was magic, close. Moving to the table, Naruto used his chakra to tap a few seals, and a variety of things emerged, including wired liquids, flowers that had never been seen before, and other items. Naruto took seeds from each flower and did something Batman never would have imagined. He forced the flowers to grow in a matter of seconds, much like one of his robes, poison ivy. With the exception of the mad scientist lab coat and goggles, Naruto was diligently working on the cure for the Amazons. Megan informed Naruto of the discoveries made by the other members of the team. Without missing a beat, Naruto informed her, "Megan, tell the others to hold their positions. I'll give more orders in a few minutes." "All right. Continue to make the cure until everyone has had 2 douses of it," Naruto said, creating 5 shadow clones and 4 tiny vials of a gold-colored liquid. The clones nodded. "Don't stop until Queen Hippolyta declares that none of her Amazons are ill anymore." Donna and Cassie were once again taken aback when Naruto added yet another power to his list of abilities for Batman. Naruto led Batman back to Queen Hippolyta, and they followed him. "Queen Hippolyta," he bowed, "the cure is ready." He showed her 2 vials, but she regarded them suspiciously, and understandably so. "How can I be certain that it won't poison my Amazons?" she inquired. With a sigh, Naruto realized that this was going to happen, so he did what any man would do in this case. He inserted one needle into his neck and another into his heart, injecting it inside himself. He knew that since he had the Jubi inside of him, it wouldn't hurt him, but he also knew that anyone who took it wouldn't be harmed. It would only destroy the poison it was intended to destroy. Everyone was shocked by what he had done, and he didn't even think twice before doing it. "All right, Batman, I wish for you to inject my people with it, starting with the young one." "As you wish, Queen Hippolyta." "Batman, get one in the neck and one in the heart for the quickest results." After telling him that she would awaken approximately half an hour after the injection, Naruto was about to leave when Donna and Cassie intervened. "Where are you heading?" Cassie inquired. "To identify those who are accountable for this. This was not your typical plague. In a sense, it was man-made." Naruto declared, "I plan to bring them into the light." "Are you aware of their location?" Donna inquired. "As well as the location of your missing sisters. I'm heading there right now," he informed them. Considering what he had said, Queen Hippolyta still had doubts about Naruto. "Donna, Cassie, follow Naruto to our sisters and bring them back." "At once, my queen." "Of course, my queen." The 2 girls bowed and spoke. Naruto addressed the other 2 girls, saying, "Megan, Artemis, I will need your help to free the Amazons." "Okay." Megan couldn't explain why she was glad to see Naruto more. "Right. My clones are producing more right now, Batman. For each Amazon to function, you need 2 douses." As he led a group of 4 girls out of the hospital and into the northern forest, Naruto told the Dark Knight, "Don't worry about running out." Naruto remarked, "Megan, patch Donna and Cassie into our mental link." "I got it, all right there in. Can you hear me, Donna and Cassie?" Cassie sounded thrilled as she said, "Yes, that's so cool." "Megan, that was a really helpful gift," Donna said. "Thank you. I'm loving this gig, but we need more girls for our team." "Down, Kid Flash. Down," sneered Naruto. "Aqualad, are you still aiming for that sub?" Naruto said, "I'm sending everyone a point to meet up at. Everyone be there in 5 minutes." "Yes, it stayed." Naruto commanded, "Destroy it. Make sure these jerks have no way out. Don't care how." "I got it. In a few minutes, it will be trash." After a few minutes, everyone had arrived at the location near the mountain where Naruto had instructed them to be. Naruto introduced Cassie and Donna, Amazon warriors, saying, "All right, everyone, this is them." Both girls had a little more respect for him now. This is Superboy, Superman's son, so to speak. Superboy didn't like how Naruto phrased that, but Cassie and Donna also had a little more respect for him. This is Kid Flash, and kid, don't you dare open your mouth right now, Naruto warned. Donna, Cassie, this is Robin, Batman's apprentice. Ah, man. He introduced the final member of the team, saying, Aqualad is still in the ocean so he can't be here. This is Artemis and this is Megan. Even to the men, Donna and Cassie waved. Hi. All right, this is our plan of action. You two go covertly, locate the main control console, and hack it to discover what they did, what they were attempting to do, and how they accomplished it, Robin Artemis. They shouldn't be performing again anytime soon, in my opinion. Robin gave a thumbs up, saying, Got it, According to Artemis, no problem. Donna, Cassie, and Megan. The three of you will enter and free the Amazons who are being held. Naruto addressed the remaining girls on the team, saying, go in stealth like get them out. Superboy, you have the road map, guide both teams to their destinations, he grinned. How about me? Kid Flash inquired. You are under perimeter watch. Anyone who attempts to flee on the surface is caught. Go find yourself in the Amazons. Kid Flash grinned and said, sounds like fun. If they do trash it, Aqualad, stay where you are in case they have some other means of transportation by sea. That's right. The sub is trashed and won't be going anywhere. Well done. All right, Superboy, you and I have a distraction. That implies that once the two teams achieved their goal, we destroyed every toy they had. Does that sound enjoyable? Superboy just smiled in response to Naruto's question. While Robin was hacking the main computer and Megan was leading the captive Amazons out of the mountain, Superboy gave instructions to both Robin and Artemis' team and Megan and her team, and both teams reached their goal with ease. All right, Superboy, are you prepared to enjoy yourself? Superboy grinned and said, always. The other teams had ample cover to flee after the two young men destroyed everything in the mountain by smashing, crashing, and trashing it. Along with many of his cultists, Cobra was running on the beach. His sub had been destroyed, and they now had to reach their second emergency sub in order to escape, leaving the scientists to face their inevitable demise. That research was all ruined. They found me, but how? The self, declared God. Cobra screamed. One of his cultists informed his master, I downloaded all of the reach as you're ordered, my lord. Good, now we don't have to start from scratch now. The disc immediately flew from Cobra's hands into another's, and he said, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Who are you? You have no right to obstruct a god's plans, Cobra shouted. A deity? You are not a god, Naruto inquired. Naruto stated bluntly, whoever the hell you are, you don't even have the authority to try to claim you're a god. You have no right to speak to Lord Cobra in such a manner, one of the cult members shouted. You call him a god, please. I've encountered people who were capable of reducing entire nations to ashes, but they weren't gods. I encountered a man who also claimed to be a god, and he easily defeated a village full of what you would call meta humans, all of whom were as strong as Wonder Woman or more, only to be defeated by me. If nothing else, he had the power to prove that he was a god. Then a man who was a living monster appeared, and in my world, only the most formidable ninja were considered monsters. He possessed the authority of a man my people referred to as a god. Only to have me defeat them. You are just a man practicing ninja in comparison to them. Naruto was unaware that Batman, his team, and a few Amazons led by Wonder Woman and Queen Hippolyta were keeping an eye on him. Take this unbeliever's life, Cobra shouted, and his final cult member charged at Naruto. Megan was most concerned when Batman held back his team's initial attempts to assist. Then, the 6 men and woman cultists were within 3 feet of him. Almighty push, Naruto sent them all flying. They smashed into trees and rocks, either being injured or almost dying from the force of the blast. Are you done yet? I believe I'm running late for lunch, and there will be hell to pay if I'm late for Megan's cooking, Cobra. Naruto made fun of him, but he wasn't kidding. He would kill Cobra, at least, if he missed Megan's cooking. Well, even a god might stoop to conquer. Cobra ran at him, thinking he could get past Naruto and reach his sub. I already told you, you are no god. Naruto held up his hand, and Cobra grinned and jumped, thinking he had defeated the boy. Universal pull. After falling, Cobra was on his way to Naruto when he saw eyes and screamed. Naruto pulled out a black rod from the sleeve of his right sage coat, stabbed it into Cobra's shoulder, and then pinned him to it by driving it into the ground. Ah. In case you're curious as to why you're immobile, my chakra is pulling you down, and that rod is connected to it. You might be able to get rid of this feeling you're experiencing right now if you have support that is strong enough to combat it. You can't, though. After pressing a button on what appeared to be a wristwatch, Cobra, who was barely able to move due to the rod that made him feel like he weighed a ton, sent Aqualad hurtling out to sea. But Superboy caught him and said, we must depart immediately. It used to be an octopus, but now it's a really large octopus with some green veins visible, he cried as he was about to inquire why. Enjoy it. I injected cobra venom into a giant octopus I caught last week, and you can see the results now. Cobra grinned. See if you can manage God's creation, boy. You are not a god, as I stated. Naruto snapped his neck, saying, planetary devastation, I don't have time to play with your pet monster Cobra. Naruto shot a black ball into the sky. No one had any idea what was going to happen. Then everyone felt a rumbling. Then many rocks from the nearby cliffside started to be drawn to the black ball. Many large chunks of rocks, then the kraken-like monster soon followed. Then more rocks piled on top of it and it was now imprisoned. Foolish boy, my pet has no bones, so it will just slip out of your prison, Cobra replied. If it could move, it would. Even Superman himself would be crushed to nothing by the pressure inside that little moon I just created. Amaterasu. But I don't have time to wait for that. So. Naruto closed his eyes. His eyes opened, and the small moon was consumed by black flame. For a few minutes, everyone watched in horror and awe as they heard the kraken inside the moon wailing. That's all it took. The small moon fell back into the sea, and nothing of the kraken was visible, not even ashes. Megan rushed to Naruto when he fell on one knee, and she was shocked to see that his right eye was bleeding. This is your one warning, Cobra, Naruto said as he approached the startled Cobra after she helped him up. You'd better be changed by the time we meet again. If not, Naruto took hold of his right arm, put his boot on his right shoulder, and then took a strong tug. Ah! When they heard the ribbing sound of flesh and bone being ripped off from the body, many people recoiled as Cobra screamed. As he sealed the arm away, Naruto declared, I won't just take your arm, I'll take your head. Many watched as Megan assisted Naruto. Time skip. 3 hours. Queen Hippolyta addressed the men in the group, excluding Batman, and said, I should sentence you all to death for coming to the Mysteria, but since you saved my Amazons, I will let you go. The boys bowed and then headed for Megan's ship. Naruto, wait a moment, I wish to speak with you. That got everyone's attention. Diana, please close the doors behind you. But do not come to the Mysteria again. She made her point with her voice level. Everyone knows a woman in voice level means danger. I want to speak with Naruto by myself. Yes, mother. Queen Hippolyta and Naruto were left behind as she shut the big doors. In their boredom, Megan noticed 2 Amazons watching them and approached them to say, Hi Donna, hi Cassie. The team was waiting for Naruto to arrive back near the bio ship, and it had been about half an hour since they had begun talking, and no one had heard from them. You mean me? Yep. Wow, that ship is awesome. I wish we could ride it together, Cassie remarked, perhaps even see the outside world. Thank you. However, why are you unable to? Can you ask for permission, I mean? Would you be able to accompany us? Megan proposed. It would be wise to do that. But in the end, my mother Hippolyta would have the final say in the matter. Wonder Woman surprised the group of young heroines by showing up out of nowhere. As Naruto walked away, Queen Hippolyta smiled at them and said, I think it is a fine idea. They all thought he was Naruto because he had his hood up and his head down. It will do Donna and Cassie good to see the outside world. You mean we can leave, Queen Hippolyta? Cassie inquired eagerly. Donna bowed and said, Thank you, Queen Hippolyta. With all eyes on Batman, she reiterated, Of course it is Batman's decision if you can go or not. Batman was aware of the response. His response translates to, Yes. They will have to join my team and learn the ways of the mainland. All of them were thrilled and hurried to the bio ship, pulling Megan along with them. They soon took off in the bio ship and the Batwing, and while Cassie and Donna were thrilled, KF was pleased to have 2 more girls on the team. Artemis was also pleased to have more girls on the team, but for different reasons. Megan was worried about Naruto because she could sense the pain he was radiating. Mount Justice again. You're leaving? What do you mean? Megan, who was about to cry, was asked. Megan, it sounded exactly like that. I'm heading out. Did I say something? If I caused you to want to leave us, I apologize. Megan was adamant that Naruto stay. No, Megan. It's not you. He told her, I just can't live here and hope to be a hero like all of you, Megan. He was wearing only his sage cloak and the big scroll on his back when she caught him leaving the mountain. Behind him, Naruto heard the Dark Knight say, You're not going anywhere. Batman, as if you could stop me. Do you understand why I'm here? to make it better. I sacrificed everything to make this world better, and I will by all means. Nobody will stop me from doing that, not even you, the Justice League, or Young Justice. Naruto's voice made it obvious that he wasn't joking when he said, and if I have to go through you to get out of here, I will. Megan gave him the puppy dog eyes look, complete with real tears, a pouty face, and both of her hands clasped around his hand. Please Naruto, stay, she said. I'm sorry, Megan. He handed her one of his Can I keep this with you at all times? Naruto signed. This would have been much easier if she had been anyone else. Had she been anywhere else and not tied to the rat, this would have been much easier. If you ever require my assistance, I'll be there in a heartbeat if you need me or want to talk. He kissed her on the lips and departed using Flying Thunder God Jutsu. He left. Megan collapsed to her knees. It hurt so bad. Artemis walked up to Megan and put a hand on her shoulder, saying, Come on, Megan. She felt a slight ping in her heart, but not for the ribbon she didn't get back, not for herself or Megan. You'll feel better if we go do our hair, Artemis suggested. Megan snuffed out her sadness and said, Well, I have been reading on Earth fashionable hairstyles. Artemis initially winced, but this was done to make her feel better so that her hair could regrow. 1 week later it was bright at midday Gotham, on a Saturday, according to those around him, but everything was anything but well. He felt malice on a level on par with Orochimaru nearby, so he was going to find it. Naruto was walking around what the people of this world called Gotham, which he knew was the home of Batman. At first, he felt like leaving almost immediately, but his instinct told him to stay, so he did. He ended up at Gotham Mall, which he had no idea what a mall was because of Megan, and he entered unsure of what he would find. Barbara Gordon was in another area of the mall, window shopping for nothing specific, enjoying her Saturday until nightfall, when she transforms back into Batgirl. She wanted Artemis and Megan to join her, but they had a task to complete, so she was forced to spend the day alone. Ha 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 ha. Everyone in Gotham has heard the Joker laugh at least once in their lives, and Barbara was familiar with it. When Naruto heard that laugh, it sounded a lot like Orochimaru's, which was unsettling and also explains why he felt this way in the mall. Most of the people were rounded up in a matter of minutes, but some were able to escape the mall before the clowns locked it down, and one of the clowns ambushed Barbara, who was wearing nothing at the time. One of the clowns introduced Barbara to the insane clown and his right-hand woman, Harley, saying, Hey Joker, look who I got. Well, take a look, Harley. The daughter of the police commissioner, Barbara Gordon. Ha 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 ha. What can we do with her, Mr. J? Oh, I know. We can give her a Joker gas so that Commissioner Gordon will always be able to smile. Harley addressed the Joker. Harley, you're correct. Get me some gas, Joker said. I'm going to put a smile on that face. Barbara knew she was doomed. Batman would only arrive in time to save everyone else, not her. She always hoped it would end in a fight, but she knew it might end this way. You are going down. Light side when you play Star Wars. She closed her eyes and waited for her demise as the Joker approached her, his gas gun aimed at her head. Many of the hostages were aware that Barbara would die immediately, but then everyone heard a blonde man land hard on the ground, and he smashed the ground with his fist. The effect was instantaneous. A blue energy blew the two clones holding Barbara and the Joker away from her. Universal pull. Naruto pulled Barbara away from the clowns. Stay here. He then turned to face the Joker and his clowns, and they all moved in front of the clown, Joker, in a nice line. Not a straight line, but enough that Naruto wouldn't have to move a lot to get them. He produced two black rods, one in each hand, and then ran at their speed. A clown swung a bat at Naruto, and he simply cut right through it and cut off the clown's head. Naruto once more hopped over a garden display before confronting two of the Joker's strongest, Hammer Joker's right hand man and Sickle Joker's left hand man. He ran and hopped over a mall fountain in the center of the area, then jumped again when he was within range of two clowns. He kicked the clown on his right, snapping his neck and stabbing the other clown in the head, killing him. When Hammer and Sickle used their weapons to attack Naruto, Naruto ducked and sliced both of them across the chest. They retreated and attempted to attack again, but Naruto dropped a kick to both of them. Everyone was on edge, hoping that Batman would arrive in time to save them all, but Batman had just learned about this incident and was barely on his way, Robin included. Outside, Gordon and Gotham's Best were attempting to avoid the Joker bombs that were placed next to the only door that wasn't collapsed. The mall's top suddenly exploded, sending 4 figures flying out of its new sunroof. 2 large and 2 small. One of the small figures, Harley, landed on the roof of a police car, and the officers overcame their shock to arrest her. Joker, Hammer, and Sickle, on the other hand, were less fortunate and landed motionless inside the barricade. Naruto, whose gray eyes pierced the souls of anyone who looked into them, was the 4th figure to land inside the barricade. When Hammer attempted to strike Naruto with his hammer once more after Naruto ran to him and Sickle, he ducked and gave him a roundhouse kick to the head, sending him a few yards away. Sickle then charged, using his sickle to cut Naruto up. Naruto ducked, dodged, then grabbed the sickle and stabbed Sickle in the chest with his black rod. His scream terrified everyone there, but Naruto wasn't finished because he sensed this man's aura, which was pure malice with nothing else. He couldn't let things like him live, and it went against everything he had fought for back on his world. He took the sickle and its chain and wrapped it around Sickle's neck, then jumped again to the mall's roof. He then pushed Sickle over the edge on live TV, not realizing it, and, in a mental standpoint, Sickle and his brother were already over the edge. "No, brother," Hammer yelled, running to see if he could aid his brother before it's too late. Sickle did not die as his neck did not break. Naruto jumped down and tackled Hammer, then used his legs to push him back and he skidded a few yards away. "I will kill you." After charging at Naruto, Hammer struck his head with a devastating blow with a powerful swing of his hammer. The hammer was the only object that broke. Everyone was taken aback by what they witnessed. With his black chakra rods in reverse grip, Naruto used his right hand to cut across Hammer's chest from lower left to upper right before stabbing him in the stomach with his left chakra rod. He used his abilities to propel Hammer 20 feet into the air before causing him to crash to the ground. Hammer's mouth, nose, and body were all bleeding. With his right hand, Naruto snapped off the black rod and brought it down, killing Hammer by stabbing him in the skull. Many were taken aback by what they had just witnessed. It was not, however, over. Sickle was still alive when Naruto looked at him. With both hands, Naruto created 2 tree vines and sent them to Sickle's legs before turning to face the crowd and the cameras. The camera he examined was Vicky Vale. Then there was a loud snap and a powerful yank. Sickle was also deceased. "Stop the Star Wars, you're going to the dark side." Then Naruto looked at the Joker with his dark eyes. When the Joker saw this, his smile vanished, and he became afraid. Every step Naruto took was echoed to the Joker as he started to approach him. For the first time in his life, Joker was afraid of something. He noticed more police officers when he looked to his left and right. That was it. If he was already in handcuffs from the police, this hero wouldn't hurt him. Joker, kneeling, knelt down on Gordon faster than most. "Kamish, please arrest me. I promise not to break out of Arkham for 3 months, the Joker begged. Gordon put handcuffs on Joker's hands and said, "Can't argue with that. Joker, you're under arrest." He had never been so relieved to be taken into custody. Joker thought he was safe now, so he blew a raspberry at Naruto. But the Joker was even more alarmed when Naruto continued to advance. The Joker remarked, "Hey now. I'm arrested, you can't touch me." Naruto continued to approach him. "Hey now, this isn't funny." He was only 20 feet away from Naruto. "That's far enough, son. Thank you for the assist." He was 10 feet away from Naruto. "Son," in the center of the two was a batarang. Joker never imagined that seeing bats would make him happy. Batman landed between Naruto and the Joker. "That's enough." Naruto squinted his eyes. Despite not being able to sense them with his abilities, Naruto asked, "Are your friends here?" "No, that's enough. You've killed more than enough people for today," Batman replied to him. "I killed things, monsters, living objects if you will. Joker is no different. I will kill him like I killed his 2 goons." Naruto pointed to Hammer, who had a rob in his skull, and Sickle, who was hanging from the roof with his own sickle, demonstrating irony. "I didn't kill anyone, Batman." As he assumed his fighting stance, Batman told him, "I won't let you kill anyone anymore." Naruto punched Batman in the stomach in a black flash, saying, "Then let's see if you can handle my world's ultimate weapon, me. Hardened from birth to now to fight, kill, and protect." Naruto threw a dazed Batman to the middle of the ring, and said, My parents died when I was 20 minutes old, defending me against a demon that could smash mountains and send tidal waves crashing to the shores with a single swab of its tails. It was only the size of a mountain. Batman's armored cowl prevented him from suffering brain damage after Naruto kicked him in the face. At age 5, I had 1547 attempts at my life for being born on that day. When Batman stood up, Naruto gave him a backhand. At age 6, I was tricked into enrolling in the academy where they believed that little angels could be used as weapons for their village. Naruto threw Batman against a wall and said, at the age of 12, I made my first kill. Killing a monster that killed his whole family for power. To hide his tracks, Batman stood up and threw a few smoke bombs. Naruto took Batman's hand through the smoke and said, when I was 13, my best friend shoved his lightning-covered fist, which nearly pierced my heart for power. Naruto threw Batman in the direction of the cameras, saying, at the age of 15, I fought a maid that made clay bombs with his hand as deadly as any one of our C4 bombs of today, like he was making pottery. Everyone was listening to Naruto's life story synopsis. At 16, my whole village was destroyed by a man who muttered 2 words, Batman stood up. Almighty push. Batman slammed into Harley's armored vehicle, leaving a dent the size of Batman on it. And not 2 months ago when I first came to this world, I face a pair of men whose power were said to be that of the man who was considered a god amounts ninja. They commanded a creature of such power and evil, its existence was said to create the first evil being. All evil things can trace their origin to it. And I defeated it, Naruto concluded his narrative. You are nothing compared to the monsters I've faced. Batman stood up, his mouth bleeding. He posed the age-old question they would pose to anti-heroes. Who are you, to be judge, jury, and executioner? The world needs someone who is will to be the monster that protects them from other monsters. If they fear me, that is fine. You have one rule, never kill. I also have one rule, never kill an innocent. You ask me who I am Naruto Uzumaki, the second sage of the 6 paths. I was born and raised in the shadows, but I will come to the light to make sure that all the people in the world knows that there is someone out there who will show their face, to be their shield in the light. Everyone was startled to hear him speak his name. I ask you this, Batman, you and all of the other Justice Leaguers, who are you, to sacrifice others to not sacrifice yourselves? Everyday people die from you and your Justice League's criminals. Yes, you can't save them all, but you can make sure that it never happens again. Yet you all let it happen, again and again. You say you will never kill, you don't have to. You sacrifice others to keep your hands clean. You and the rest of the Leaguers. Naruto concluded his tirade and was somewhat upset that the police had taken away the Joker. Naruto used his flying thunder god jutsu to exit the scene, saying, I'm leaving Batman, are you happy now? Joker is alive and well and will break out of Arkham again in the near future. Killing much more people when he does. We will meet again. And although it's over 9,000 words, I had planned to make it longer. Additionally, wait until I've updated my high crisis story before expecting another update. I was just on a roll, so don't expect this quick of an update again. Oh, and my words were sincere. The Justice League puts the needs of others before their own. Furthermore, I am aware that there isn't any concrete proof that Naruto has been assaulted or that his life has been attempted. However, I claim that because he hosted 8 Tails, this B's best friend attempted to murder him. Why wouldn't a complete stranger to Naruto do the same if his best friend was? Create the best prank ever. Bruce Wayne sipped his tea, which Alfred had prepared for him. Today, there was an odd package on his doorstep. That contained a tape that said, play me. He inserted it and listened to it. Bruce said, hello, Batman, his eyes grew wide. Bruce spit out the tea, his eyes widening once more. If you are watching this, you must likely already took a sip of the tea I made you. No, I didn't spit in it, although tempting. No, you see, that tea is poisoned. It is too late to spit the tea out as the poison is already in your body. You have 24 hours to live now, the man who made the recording stated. You could only see the man's eyes because his hood was up. Now, as you know, I wouldn't have made this tape unless there was a cure. This is a cure. But in order to get it, you must complete one social experiment I want you to participate in. Bruce was already unhappy with this. In order to get the cure, you must do one thing. You must get laid. It'll do you some good, and ironically, the cure can be found in the female ejaculation. And no, I am not kidding. Later, Batman. The recording ended. Bruce was initially dubious. After several hours of testing, he was able to confirm that he was indeed poisoned. He called, though, because he needed to drink and have a female orgasm. Hello. Selina. Bruce? Yay, I was wondering, you want to go out on a date, tonight? Selina? There is a god, 5 years later? Naruto told Helena Wayne, who was 4 years old, and that's how your parents got together. Wow, so you played matchmaker? Yep. Why Uncle Naruto? Well, you see, your father is a stiff. I'd figured if he and your mom got together then he'd lighten up. Naruto stated to young Helena. Oh, wait. Did you really poison Daddy? No, I just put some lemonade mix in his tea and mess with his toys so it would think he was poisoned. He was fine, and sure enough 9 months later you came into their lives. Naruto grinned at the youngster. Oh, is that why Mommy and Daddy are at the hospital again getting me another baby brother or sister? She was innocently asking. Naruto grinned. Yep. Naruto answered the phone when it rang. Bruce said, Naruto. Selina appeared to be in labor based on the sound of it. Bruce exclaimed, I hate you so much right now. As Selina's cat-like grip crushed his hand. Naruto heard Selina yell, Is that Naruto? Give me the phone, give it Bruce. Today was the 4th happiest day of her life. Naruto. I have one thing to say to you. Thank you so much, she said. Naruto has been here for 2 months. 2 months had passed since he was born, and 2 weeks had passed since he made his public debut, which stunned not just the country but also the world in attendance. In front of her camera was Vicky Vale. As usual, a picture of Naruto was displayed along with the words, It has been a week since the shocking display of vigilantism by this man. Naruto Uzumaki, aka the Sage of the Six Paths. Just last week Naruto had killed close to 20 people, all who were working for the Joker, in a span of just a few minutes. I went out on the street of Gotham to see what you thought of this man. The first was a woman of medium age. Who is he to be judge and jury? This guy, he's right, no comment, no comment. I got nothing to say. Who is this guy to decide who lives and who dies? He's not just doing it for fame, he just wants to be famous. I lost my mother and my brother to that psycho Joker. If this guy kills that effing dollar, then I'm all for him. You know, if I had powers I would get my freak on too. In just 30 minutes, Naruto was the most talked about man in the world, with these and numerous other remarks. In a national poll supported by Daily Plant Live, 68% of you agreed with Naruto Uzumaki's methods, with 32% of you did not agree. But right now, the question is where Naruto is now, and who his next target. Deep in the shadows, a man had watched and evaluated the fight's uncut version. He said, This is not the reason I sent you to follow her, with a tone that was at least disappointed but not angry. Around the age of 18, the young girl began using sign language for communication. I thought, but I know, master. He said, Stop, Cassandra. Then he glanced at the tape again. He grinned and remarked, This might even be better. As he watched Naruto severely defeat Batman, he remarked, This young man may be an even better heir than Batman. Cassandra, I have a mission for you. You are to bring back this Naruto to me, and Cassandra, bring him here, by any means necessary, any means. Cassandra bowed and departed, intending to return this man whom her master believed to be the League of Shadows heir. Talia wasn't so certain, though. Father, are you sure this Naruto is worthy of being your heir more than my beloved? Yes, Talia. Although proven worthy of it time and time again. Batman has refused time and time again. This boy, Naruto, could be the one to succeed me. I can feel it. Talia was still uncertain. Alongside Naruto, despite the fact that every police officer was searching for Naruto in addition to Batman, he remained in Gotham. He thought he should stay a little while longer. He wandered around the rooftop, not really knowing where he was going, until he heard shouts and screams. With a sigh, Naruto secretly hoped the Joker would escape Arkham so he could murder him. Naruto hurried to discover what was happening. There were trees and plants everywhere when he arrived. A while back, when no one was around, he went through Batman's data and committed it to memory. With the possible exception of Danzo, Batman was more paranoid than any ninja he had ever encountered. He had something on every meta human in the world, if not everything. Everything is powered by weakness. Even his fellow heroes. Yes, Naruto had everything on them now because of him. Naturally, this came after he had spent 2 weeks learning how to use every piece of technology in the world, with the assistance of about 100 clones. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Poison Ivy was responsible for this. He had read several files similar to hers. The fact that she was placed in a padded cell with a shrink who said, "Your friend doesn't help," could have been helpful. A building was surrounded by plants, and he could already feel Batman, Robin, and another person who looked somewhat familiar inside. He noticed that the police had already encircled the structure. Entering the building without anyone noticing him wasn't difficult. He proceeded to the building's main floor by following the energy signatures. He witnessed Batman battle several dozen men that Ivy had subjugated. He saw Ivy, Robin, and Batgirl when he arrived in the main room. She had them caught up in thorny vines. Despite their efforts to break free, they appeared feeble because the thorns were probably poisoned. Poison seemed to be Ivy's forte. He had had enough. Using his wind jutsu, Naruto cut the vines without hurting or stripping Robin and Batgirl, of course. Wind style, slicing wind. With rage, Ivy screamed, "WHO dares!" witnessing the destruction of her cherished children. Naruto descended into view. Ivy was shocked to see him, but then she smiled. "Ah, Naruto, the sage of the 6 paths. I'm glad you've made it." At that, Naruto arched an eyebrow. "So, Poison Ivy or Dr. Pamela Isley, whichever you prefer. If you wanted to see me, all you had to do was call," Naruto stated to her. She grinned. "Where's the fun in that? I saw what you did with Joker and his goons and, at first, I had not a care in the world. I couldn't care less if you killed them all or not," she grumbled. She said to herself, "Except Harley. But it was what I saw you do with the human hanging on the rooftop that intrigued me the most." She continued. She took a small pleasure in saying, "You made vines, something only I can do, to kill that pathetic human." Naruto kept a close eye on Ivy. She was wearing nothing but plant panties and a cheap plant bra. Almost nothing was left up to the imagination. That must be the reason she was chosen as Gotham's most attractive yet dangerous woman. "Yes, I did, and I can see why you'd be interested in that. Being you're also a gardener." Batman decided to butt in at this time. He screamed, "It's over, Ivy." But then he narrowed his eyes upon seeing Naruto. He could only take on Ivy in a fight because it appears that Robin and Batgirl are still healing from their encounter with Ivy. They are not dead or dying, Batman. Naruto here saved them before that, although, if it wasn't for him, your 2 little sidekicks would be 6 feet under by now, Ivy stated to him. That changes nothing, Naruto. Without taking his eyes off Ivy, Naruto responded, "I saved them to save them. Not to amend any goodwill with you, Ratman." Batman declared, "I'm taking you both in right now." Ivy's transport flower to get out says, "As beautiful as that sounds, Batman, this place is getting too crowded. Naruto, catch me if you can." Batman and Naruto were both aware that she fled. In any case, the building, unlike the rest of the city, her natural energy was pure life, and Naruto could sense it. As long as she was within 100 miles of him, he could locate her. But he would have to locate her using his Sage mode. Naruto watched Robin, Batman, and Batgirl rise. Batman told him, "You're coming with me, Naruto." Then Robin and Batgirl surrounded him, too. "Batman, if you even think for 1 second that you're a match for me, you're more delusional than Cobra believing he was a god." Robin, Batman, and Batgirl all charged at him simultaneously. Naruto held up a hand. Almighty push. Naruto let Batgirl and Robin strike Batman after sending him hurtling into some crates to cushion his landing. For their boots to pass through him, that is. Due to her longer legs, Batgirl was able to kick Robin in the nuts first, on her heels. Ooh! Robin's eyes crossed, and Naruto saw it. Naruto told him, "I understand your pain. I was kicked in the nuts by heels too, kid." He had to locate Ivy now. Shadow clones were his favorite. After transforming one into a plant, he tagged her ass. It happened to be there during her departure. Complete coincidence. Yes. Alongside Ivy, Ivy first showed up outside of Gotham in the surrounding woods. She, of course, and all the poisons from Star Labs make no one dare come here. She was protected from anyone attempting to arrest her here. If she were here, they wouldn't put their lives in danger. She said aloud, shame. I thought you would be able to follow me. Ivy jumped and turned to see Naruto in a tree above her, asking, who? She grinned and said, well, you followed me after all. Hoping he would fall for her, she smiled and said, why don't you come down and let me give you a kiss for helping me get away from Batman? Knowing the answer, Naruto asked, you wouldn't be trying to mind control me, would you? With a sly smile, she said, why would ever think that? Naruto saw her gentle, kind face turn into a frown as he said, I've read your file, I've read who you were, what you've done, why you do what you do, your weakness and your powers, all of it. However, what I don't know is how you came to be and why, truly why, you do what you do. No one can tell me that but you. He replied to her. With a sour tone, she said, and why should I tell you anything? Because, I feel you are one of the few in this torn world, that villains and heroes created, that can change for the better, Ivy. Please tell me why and how, and I can help you. He said to her, staring her in the eyes. She turned away and asked, how could you possibly help me? Her voice carried sadness that he could hear. And even if you could. Why? Because I am the only one who truly wishes to help, and possibly the only one that can help you, Ivy. Give me a chance, you have nothing to lose, and much possibility to gain. He put his hand on her shoulder. I've read the official file on how you came to be, but anyone with a brain cell could tell there were holes in it that no one, not even the Batman, noticed. Let me help you, Ivy. She let out a sigh. She took a seat on a rock and he took a seat beside her. I suppose I can tell you how I came to be. It started 4 years ago at Star Labs. It was my dream job to work there, in their botany division. I was working on something that would help make this world a better place. Funny, huh? 4 years ago, Star Labs as usual, Pamela Isley was working with flowers and plants in her lab. Today, though, was different. She had spent the entire night developing a new regrowth formula that would restore plants, flowers, and trees that had been felled by humans, destroyed by fire, or devastated by the elements. This formula would transform the world for the better. She was aware of her proximity. However, she was already working into the weekend after a long day. She shut down her computer, as well as her experiments and case files. At what time was she leaving? Dr. Isley. Went the one man Pamela detested most. Dr. David Dint, her boss. Or Dr. Dick, as she refers to him. Is the formula ready yet? No, not yet. It'll take about another week or two before it is ready. But I've worked for 24 hours now. I need. No. That formula needs to be ready by Sunday. You get that formula ready by noon Sunday or you're fired, he said to her. Dr. Dick left for the weekend, and Pamela watched him go. Well, yet another weekend cancelled. Pamela worked hard all day, with no one else around, and she was very close to finishing. She detested that man. Although she hurried through some of the tests, the preliminary results were encouraging. However, she thought it was too soon. But she fell asleep on her desk once more while the final test was running. She awoke at around 4 in the morning to the sound of her computer declaring that its task was completed. The tests were thorough even though they were hurried. Then she yawned, great. Now maybe. Behind her, Dr. Dr. David Dint, asked, is the formula ready? For some reason, he was accompanied by 2 large men. She grinned, her dark rings revealing her lack of sleep, and said, it seems so. The computer ran the tests and since it was successful it was already made the first patch. If this works we'll get the Nobel Prize for this. Not, we, Pamela. Me. Then she saw one of the guards strike her with a metal baton, and she said, huh? When Pamela arrived, she discovered David raping her while standing on top of her. Hours passed during the rape. She was crying and extremely hurt when he finished. She had spent almost 2 years creating her own formula, which he had her dragged to by his guards. Now, let's get our story straight. I forgot something at the office that I needed really badly, so I came back to get it. When I got here, you were trying to steal the formula that we had worked so hard to make as well as other Star Lab secrets, and we fought. You accidentally fell into the formula and died. So sad. But don't worry, you'll always be remembered as a greedy bitch. But at least you were a good fuck. Dump her in. Flashback end. She pointed to herself and said, you know the rest. I survive, become this. And he got away with rape and murder. Although the formula had to be destroyed because I became this. So I guess that was the only good thing that came out of it. So I told you my story and tell me something. How can you possibly help me? She inquired. She had given up on people long ago. She had no friends or boyfriends to talk about because her family was so large. Apart from her plants, flowers, and babies, she was genuinely alone. Is that where your hatred of men comes from? That act of violence against you? Holding her stomach, Ivy said, in part. Naruto was aware of that look. It comes from your inability to have children, right? He inquired. Ivy shed a tear. All I ever wanted was to have a son or daughter, to have a family. But when I became this, I lost that. My own body prevents me from having a child of my own. And it's all his fault. I became a monster and a thing that kids fear to see while he is now the head manager of the Gotham Star Labs branch. Ivy broke down in tears. Naruto sensed her emotional suffering, but he was able to assist. She required a friend, someone who would love and comprehend her. Someone who would actually assist her when she needed it. He was aware of what to do. Ivy, can I get a sample of your blood? Why? If you want to cure me, Star Labs has tried for 4 years and failed each time. As he displayed her reflection in a pool of water, he said to her, No, I don't wish to cure you. This is who you are, Ivy. This is you. You are not sick, so don't need a cure. You need a friend, and you're very beautiful. She reddened slightly. She said to Naruto, Thank you, but tell me something that I haven't heard before. She had long since lost faith in people in general. She smiled charmingly and said, Give me a drop of your blood and I can tell you something you haven't heard before. Like what? He whispered to her. I wanted to be a surprise. Ivy wasn't going to at first. She wanted to trust Naruto, though, because of his aura. One last time, she would put her trust in a man. She gave a nod. She cut her finger with the knife Naruto gave her, and he gathered the green dot red blood from the wound. The little cut healed quickly. She said, Now close your eyes. All right, let's do what the first sage of the 6 paths did before me. Naruto created something for Ivy using her blood and his own abilities to help her heart heal. He told her, Okay, you can open your eyes now. As soon as she did, a somewhat heavy object was thrown into her arms. To anyone but Naruto and Ivy, it made little squeals, but Ivy heard a single word. Mama, Mama, congratulations, it's a healthy baby girl. I call this little angel a wood wraith. A fusion of beast and tree, made from my power and your blood. But the most important part, Ivy, she is our child, our daughter, so congratulations Ivy, you the mother of a healthy baby wood wraith. The first of her kind. Type in FFXII or FFXII.2 wood wraith to see how it appears. Still in disbelief, Ivy watched. This little creature was roughly the size of a large house cat. She had green fur or moss on her back, and 4 logs protruded from her back, pointing in front of her. Once more, the small wood wraith squealed, I love you, Mama. Well, do you? Oomph. Tears filled Ivy's eyes as she tackled him. Thank you. She sensed that she and the small wood wraith were connected. In contrast to her previous babies, this one belonged to her. Her real child was this one. Naruto hugged him back. She told him, I would kiss you, but then my poisons would kill you. She was surprised when he did, though, because it felt wonderful to kiss someone. However, she could sense the love in this kiss. It was genuine. Naruto stopped kissing. I guess this would be a good time to tell you I'm immune to all poisons no matter how strong they are. Well, I want to see just how immune you are to me. Naruto grinned. I like that idea. 3 days later, I'll work on lemons in a few chapters. Naruto and Ivy were both in bed, both of them nude. Ivy exclaimed, Wow. They have been working for 3 days, with only brief 15-minute breaks for food and drink, in case you were wondering. Naruto grinned and said, I never get tired of hearing that. Ivy was staring at the ceiling in a daze. Ew. Ivy and Naruto both turned to face the door and saw their tiny wood wraith infant staring at them. Ivy and Naruto yelled, Go to your room. With more of a, get out so you don't see your mommy and daddy consummate their love for one another, tone than any malicious intent. The young wood wraith fled the room where her parents were by using her tiny head. That girl will be the death of me at this rate, Ivy replied. Naruto kissed her and remarked, She's 3 days old, you should know that motherhood would be difficult. I guess you're right, Naruto said, Say, what are we going to name her? Hope. Hope? Ivy grinned at Naruto, the father of her child, and said, yes, I always wanted a daughter and to name her Hope. She is my hope, my angel. She is a new hope for me, Naruto. A new hope for the future, my future. She turned over and gave him a passionate kiss. They parted after exchanging kisses. Well, I need to go, Ivy. Ivy sounded a little offended when she asked, you're leaving already? With a try. Kunai in his hand, he said, I'll always be back. Here, before he left, he kissed her again on the cheek and explained that Hope could do everything she could. Keep this with you at all times. If you have it with you, I can find you. If you even need me for anything, anything at all, throw it to the ground and I'll be there in a second. He hadn't left yet, and it was night in Gotham. In any case, there was one final task to complete here. Outside Star Labs, he waited. An hour or so later, he saw his Ivy, the man who had harmed her all those years before. Naruto waited for the ideal moment to attack. Then he grabbed the man when he pasted an alleyway, covered his mouth and used his black rod to stab him in the heart. His eyes widened at Naruto's statement, that is for Pamela Isley, if you even remember what you did to her. Naruto watched the light go out of his eyes. The news the following day revealed that Dr. Dint had been killed the previous evening. 1 month later, Naruto ended up in a location known as Jump City. For the past week or so, since he left Gotham, he had sensed a small group of people following him. He couldn't see them with the naked eye because they were so good at hiding, but Juby's eyes prevented him from naming it something foolish, so his eye bloodline remained Juby's eyes. However, he had the impression that they would despise themselves if they so desired. Surprisingly, nobody seemed to recognize him here. He assumed that by now, every American police officer would be searching for him on America's Most Wanted. In any case, he saw them land close by and emit a large cloud of smoke that was green and black. It was a lovely day in Jump City, with birds chirping, children playing in the park, another common criminal heading to jail, and a green and black star falling from the sky. Wait, what? He asked himself. In a heartbeat, he arrived there. A pair of attractive alien girls were speaking to him in their language, which seemed strange to him and the others. But a man with a camera chose to snap a photo of them. They went crazy and began smashing things left and right, which must indicate that they are camera shy. He uttered, alien smash. Instead, both of them gazed at him. One had glowing green eyes, the other black, and they did indeed appear extremely angry. Naruto saw that they were both wearing big, heavy-looking shackles on their hands that nearly reached their elbows. That's what is pissing them off most likely. Yes, language barriers are always entertaining and cause problems, but they are also a justification for beating the living daylights out of people. They both charged at him while shouting in their native tongue. When Naruto first remembered this world, he grinned. Yes, he wished Batman had been present. Then Naruto witnessed Batgirl kick the redhead. I move here for 3 days and someone tries to destroy my city, said Batgirl. After glancing at Batgirl, the dark-haired girl turned to attack her, but Naruto took advantage of the situation and decked her in the head, sending her flying along with the other. I thought you were hanging in Gotham with the rest of the Bat family? Just moved here 3 days ago, and already someone tries to blow this place up, Batgirl repeated. Naruto gave her a look. You have a familiar energy, do I know you? Batgirl appeared somewhat frightened. No, never meet you before. Before that time we meet when Ivy was around, she replied quickly. When Naruto and Batgirl noticed that the two aliens were attacking them once more, they ducked and struck each other's bindings with their swung bindings at their heads. They jumped back and away from the shockwave, even though it caused some ear pain. They shouted and swung once more, but two newcomers kicked them in the face. Naruto addressed Cheshire and Ravenger, saying, Wow, didn't think that you two would help out. Batgirl remarked, Great, more criminals. We weren't. But Cheshire insisted that we help. And I take offense to that, Batgirl. I'm a thief, not a criminal. Red X replied to Naruto. Batgirl informed her, if you steal, then you're a criminal. Naruto joked, I knew the naughty Neko loved me. Almost ignoring the conversation between Red X and Batgirl. It's not that, you jackass. If anyone is going to bust that face, and it's going to be me. She barked at him. And I want my scarf back. Naruto gestured to the two alien girls and said, Well, maybe later, it looks like you pissed them off. Both girls smiled and cracked their necks before charging at them once more. Naruto used his black rods to smash the heads of the group that helped him. Just for them to break. Naruto gazed at that in disbelief. Only Superman and few others could take that hit and shatter my rods. What the hell are they made of? He inquired. But he saw that the outer bindings on both girls came loose, revealing ones that were only wrist length. Their hands began to glow black and green as they both raised them. Take cover. X and Ravager leapt over to hide behind the bus as Naruto tackled Cheshire and Batgirl. Both girls began shooting star bolts, striking numerous buildings throughout the neighborhood. Red. X turned on his voice changer and declared, "These chicks are going to level this place." Naruto said, "Sounds like you care, Red." X. "I don't. But if they hit this bank, I've got my eye." Ravager stated that although she was a criminal, she wasn't a bitch. "Not now, X. We need to stop them before they trash this city." "That and I will stop you, Red." X. Naruto said, "Right, team up for now." "For now," said the three. Cheshire told him, "I still want my scarf back." "Sorry, naughty Neko. Your scarf has found its place right next to one of my other trophies, Artemis Ribbon." Cheshire shouted angrily. Batgirl told Cheshire, "Bitch later, save city now." Naruto grinned. "Let's go." With Naruto in front, Cheshire to his right, Batgirl to his left, Red. X to his right, and Ravager to his left in the rear, the group ran in a pentagon shape. They were halfway there when they were stopped by a black shield shaped like a raven. The group turned to look behind them and saw a hooded young girl their age wearing a blue cape. Maybe, fighting isn't the answer. Naruto glanced at the aliens after glancing at her. "Cover me. I got an idea. Batgirl, I'll need your help if you have a lockpick." She reached into her utility belt and took one out. "Never leave home without it." "What are you going to do?" Red. X asked. Then Naruto grabbed his lockpick from his utility belt. "Hey, personal space violation. I need this. Batgirl and I are going to free them," said Naruto. They charged their fists and yelled at them as they approached. They lowered their hands, charged their bolts, and let Naruto and Batgirl free them both. "It's okay, we're friends, not that you can understand me. We can free you. Hold still." "There now we can." The redhead kissed him, silencing him. The dark-haired one then gave him a kiss after she was finished. My respect for this guy just shot up a few more notches. Anyone who gets kissed by two hot alien chicks is cool in my book. Red. X exclaimed loudly. A second later, Cheshire and Ravager both elbowed him. Raven, the other blue-clad girl, looked on passively. They pushed him down after that. The redhead began, "If you wish not to be destroyed. According to the darker one, you will leave us alone." After that, they both took off from the group. With a start, Naruto exclaimed, "Wow, that's a first." "What? Aliens destroying a city? If so, then you're wrong. It has happened before," said Batgirl. "No, not that. Girls kissing a guy then leaving them in the dirt," Naruto said. Red. X remarked, "Yeah, I guess that is a first." He then turned to face Batgirl. He questioned, "What are you doing here anyway?" "I told you. I moved here 3 days ago." Naruto remarked, "Must have had an argument with Ratman." The Batgirl clarified, "It's Batman Naruto." The words, yes I know, it's Ratman," caused Red, X, Cheshire, and Ravager to chuckle. Someone who didn't hesitate to confront Batman at last. Batgirl's hands on her attractive hips demonstrated that she was not amused but rather angry. She stood up for her mentor, saying, "Hey, Batman is a great hero. Yes, in this world I'm sure he's one of the best heroes in this world. But the world I come from, heroes kill armies, destroy monsters, and fight in a life and death battle every day." Naruto replied, "The only difference from my world and this world, evil people runs unchecked and allowed to murder with no resistance," he stated to them. Batgirl said, "What are we then? Chapped liver? You are a shield, but that's all you are. You shield everyone you can, but the shield can't protect everyone, so those you can't shield are sacrificed to save the many. In my world, we are swords and shield. We protect everyone we can, while killing those that would kill those we wish to protect," Naruto stated to her. Ravenger nodded when Cheshire said, never heard it put that way before. Red. X questioned, so, you kill bad guys, do thieves count? As long as you don't kill those you rob, I couldn't care less if you took a national monument. Naruto replied. I stole when I was young, it's what I am. Sweet. Want to go thieving sometime? For the girl who was leaving, Naruto disregarded X and Batgirl's tirades about heroes. Naruto stepped in front of the girl and said, hey. She was now directly facing Naruto, and both of them could see each other more clearly. He inquired, why are you leaving? She answered, I'm not the social type. She needed a friend, and Naruto Uzumaki was the perfect one, he said with a smile. His last name is still his mother's maiden name. Well, now is as good a time as any. Everyone looked up to see why the sun had been covered, but instead they saw a huge spaceship. The words, oh this will end will, came out of Ravenger's mouth. Red. X exclaimed aloud, it appears that space chicks have friends. Batgirl corrected or stated, or enemies. Something was fired at an island close to the city by the ship. A massive hologram of a man wearing heavy armor sitting on a throne was then displayed. Attention people of the mudball known as Earth. I'm afraid that my wayward daughters ran away from home. I apologize in advance for any damage that they might cause. Once I get them back, we will leave your city in peace and with minimal damage. Do not try to help them, or else. The hologram came to an end. Ravenger remarked, that's a big ship. Hundreds of soldiers emerged as the enormous holographic shield opened. And those are a lot of freaky looking aliens. Red. X replied. With the aid of jetpacks, they began to fly. Raven stated, they told us not to interfere. Batgirl expressed her hope that the group would assist in defending the city by saying, but we can't let them destroy this city. Naruto began to walk. Raven questioned, you're going to find the aliens? Naruto began to move, saying, yeah, no father puts restraints on his daughters like that. I need to save this city and those girls are the first step to do so. No alien king wannabe is going to level this place. As she stepped forward, Batgirl said, don't you mean we? Naruto grinned. All right, let's go. Naruto immediately thought of a team. Raven stayed behind while Naruto, Batgirl, Red, X, Cheshire, and Ravenger walked. She lowered her head and turned to go. You coming? Inquired Naruto. She held Naruto in high regard. I'm not the hero type. Believe me, if you knew what I was, you wouldn't want me around. She saw Naruto directly in front of her. Naruto pointed to her heart rather than her D-cup breasts and said, all I need to know is right here. Naruto grinned at her and said, let's go. While the aliens were searching the city for the two alien girls, the group was on a roof at some point. Red. X watched a group of aliens tear open cards from the roof and said, man, do these guys know the concept of a door? X inquired, are you done yet? Raven said, quiet, in her typical voice. Ravenger gave Red X a Gibbs style head slap and said, yeah X, what they're doing is hard enough with all of these aliens out here. He held his head and said, ow. Naruto and Raven both stood up and said, found them. Raven hovered over Naruto and said, they're about half a mile north of us. Let's go, I want to find them before they trash this place. But before that, come out of the shadows you. I'm curious as to why you followed me for the past month. Naruto said loudly. A young girl of about 18 leapt out of the shadows in front of the group as they were taking in their surroundings. Cassandra? Cheshire asked, looking startled and starting to scan the area. Sign language was what Cassandra did. She said to her, it's good to see you again, Jade. Cheshire said, you too. Were you sent here to kill me by Ra? Cassandra answered, no, my purpose is to snoop on Naruto Uzumaki. Jade glanced at Naruto before turning back to Cassandra, why him? Naruto said to the silent girl, hey, can this wait? Cassandra, help us find these space girls and then we'll talk, alright? Her orders were by any means, and she nodded. Naruto led the group to the local girls. Within the shop, the two girls gripped their prey tightly. The power of these girls was too great for the prey, and their fail armor was no match. After licking their lips, they ate their prey. These alien girls' ravenous appetites and merciless teeth devoured candy bar after candy bar. Began Red. He told the girls, those taste better without the wrapper. Both girls became hostile at once, star bolts poised to administer alien justice. The Dark One asked, why have you followed us? Fire and Red followed up, for what purpose did you free us? Red. Is the main coward in the Naruto group. Most of the others had no fear. Ra's al Ghul was the only thing Cassandra feared, so she was fearless. Naruto defended himself by saying, just trying to be nice. Despite his immense power, even powerful men are afraid of women's anger. Nice? Both girls asked simultaneously. Fiery began, we do not this word on our planet. Rutha is the closest. Darkness and domination persisted. Weak. They both exclaimed simultaneously. Ravager regained her courage and voice, except for Naruto and Cassandra. Yeah. Well, around here, nice means nice, and if you want us to keep being nice you two will tell us why Big Bad Daddy put cuffs on the two of you. Ravager stated to them. After a brief pause, the two girls depowered their star bolts and appeared normal. The darker one remarked, he calls himself our father now that's a laugh. The redhead informed them, he is not our father. Father is the proper word you earthlings use. According to dark-haired, he married our mother after father died. With a hint of suspicion and a hint of spite, Redhead said, soon after she died in bed, under mysterious circumstances. The sisters said, then he took the throne from us, until we are old enough to rule the planet, he said. He was only royalty because of mother. Now he has put a peasant masquerading as king. The sisters then stopped communicating. Batgirl told the two sisters, that wouldn't explain why you two ran away or why you two had 2-ton cuffs on your hands. The red-headed man informed them, he wants to maintain his authority and get rid of us without killing us, so to speak. She snapped her figures in an attempt to find the appropriate earthly term for it. To do that, he set up a few arranged marriages with other planets behind our backs to preserve the peace he told us. A load of bullshit as it is said on Earth. The princes of these two planets have no such wish for peace and only wish to use us as their servants. When we ran away Father sent out an army to bring us back. We escaped on the way back home. The sisters recounted their tale. Naruto wasn't the type to watch such things take place. He wasn't born to allow that to occur. His decision was made. Then you're not going. Not with them now or ever. For as long as I breath. He told them that. Red X said, don't you mean us? Cheshire inquired, since when do you play Hero X? I don't, but the sooner we beat the crap out of her Father, the sooner we can raid a bank. He elaborated. Batgirl stood up beside this new team and said, not if I can help that. Alright then, you two coming? He asked, glancing at Cassandra and Ravager. Both girls gave a nod. And how about you two, ready to kick Dad in the nuts? He inquired. The two girls grinned. I like you Earthling. You have good sense of humor. The darker one grinned and gave Naruto a sincere, I'm a piece of meat, smile. My kind of humor. Boom. The group of 9 watched the 3 or so dozen soldiers who came through the wall when there was a loud boom behind them. They all had tough, intimidating looks. However, Naruto grinned. The words, team, let's kick ass, take names and go on dates, were spoken by Naruto. Red X was similar. I like this guy already, go. The two sides sprinted toward one another. It was bad for the other guys when they got into a fight. Raven grabbed random objects and threw them at the space guys using her dark magic. Red X kicked their ass with his X-bombs and other weapons. Batgirl ensnared, captured, or removed them from the battle using her weapons. Cassandra set out to kill, and she succeeded. Ravager took out or memed her enemies using her skills. In other words, Cheshire was practicing what she would do to Naruto by castrating these poor saps as a way to vent her resentment of Naruto. Indeed, it's not a good day to try to destroy a city. The alien sisters defeated their stepfather's royal army by using their star bolts. Naruto killed or wounded these men with his black rods. He wouldn't tolerate someone like this girl's stepfather acting in his own self-interest in order to gain power. Not in his blood again. The fastest but strongest ass whopping these guys received lasted for about 2 minutes before they tactically withdrew. complete with wounded egos and tails between legs. Batgirl remarked, "That went well." Ravager concurred. She turned to face Star and Blackfire and said, "Yeah. Man, those guys are weak." She added, "No offense to you two, of course." Star said, "No offense taken." Blackfire gave a sigh. If Mother could see how the standards has fallen since her time, she would die again of shame. Raven told the group aloud, "This isn't over." Cheshire said, "Raven's right." Starting with, "Now that we've interfered," Starfire began. Blackfire concluded, "Our stepfather will strike again, and much harder." The hologram regained its life. The hologram died, saying, "Fools, the Earthlings were warned, your city shall be ashes." "Well, that sucks," Naruto said, massaging the back of his head. "So, does this mean that bank won't be open tomorrow?" replied Red X. Cheshire felt the need to use evil mouthwash after saying, "Now's not the time X, we need to save this city. I can't believe I just said that." Cassandra's sign language was being used. Only Naruto and Cheshire could understand her when she said, "If we could get inside that ship, we could destroy it from the inside out." Naruto was discussing his flying thunder god jutsu when he said, "She's right. I could take you all in there, but the trip would disorient you too long for it to be useful." Raven addressed Naruto, saying, I know the way." The group gazed at her. The ship's bridge. An operator informed King Dongor, "The Earth City has been targeted, and the weapon is nearly fully charged." The king glanced at his second in command and said, "Excellent. General Milgar, are you ready to do your duty?" Once his ex-wife's second child, he is now his own. Milgar was a bald man, 10 feet tall, wearing heavy armor, a helmet, and a long beard resembling Jimmel's. He said in a disgusting way, "Of course, my king." King Dongor's devotion to the throne was the only thing keeping him from being killed by that massive, 6-foot-long space battle axe. Good, soon the Earth scum will learn, it takes more than 9 juvenile heroes to deify the will of the mighty King Dongor. He gave a boost. Boom! The group of 9 entered through the destroyed bridge door, which was illuminated by dark magic. As his group emerged from the smoke, Naruto remarked, "You wish, we are 9 heroes." "Get them!" shouted the king. "Go!" shouted Naruto. The team had a little more difficulty in this match. There were only 15 of them this time, but they were fewer in number. One of them was a large man, perhaps 10 feet in height. Once more, Naruto beat and killed the space soldiers with his black rods, using Raven's dark abilities. Blackfire and Starfire used their star bolts to destroy the soldiers of their stepfather. Using their equipment and abilities, Batgirl and Ravager disarm and vanquish them. Cheshire used her side to kill them, and Red X beat them with his X-bolts. Cassandra confronted the general after eliminating a few more space soldiers. Naruto was facing the king as well. Naruto threw one of his black chakra rods at her and said, "Cassandra." A chakra rod that is 6 feet long. With a grateful nod, she charged the king and the general. Cassandra flipped the general over and tried to attack him with her new weapon, but his enormous axe stopped it. The fact that the rod remained intact after the attack shocked both Cassandra and the general, though not as much. Naruto and the king with his two-handed long sword were also nearby. He was stronger than Naruto, but his speed was only mediocre at best. Naruto was attacking with strength and speed while wielding a pair of his chakra rods. The king's armor was the only thing keeping him alive when Naruto used that moment to hit low after blocking high. Cassandra's speed is what keeps her alive because her opponent is stronger than she is. After she blocks his axe strike, he seizes her 6-foot weapon and kicks her in the gut, causing her lunges to stop. The general is about to bring down his big axe to kill her when she collapses to her knees from exhaustion. The king is thrown a few rods by Naruto, but he dodges, letting the rods go by him and strike the axe out of Cassandra's neck. The general is surrounded by the axe. Cassandra throws him away with a spin kick, but he recovers too late. Then 2 flying girls struck him against the wall. He raised his head. "Princess Starfire, Princess Blackfire. You can stop this senseless fight, just come home." He begged them to return. He had always looked out for them, having known them since birth. Blackfire declared, "No, old friend. We will not become slaves to lowly princes." Just so out stepped father can keep his power and not pass on the crown to one of us when the time comes. Starfire stated to him. Like a good soldier, he told them, he is our king, princesses, nothing can change that. Only by marriage. Mother may have picked him to be her husband, but he didn't beat her in single combat. Nor did he beat us, he was told by Starfire. The only reason he kept power after Mother died was a vote that voted him king until it was our time. He is no king, just a usurper, Blackfire grumbled. The king's forces were on the group with Naruto, either dead, dying, or knocked out. Naruto continued to wear the king's armor, removing each piece as he went. Since he was roughly 8 feet tall and had heavy armor and weapons, the man initially appeared frightening to everyone but Naruto. However, all of that strength vanished when Naruto chose to act without hesitation and with a mighty after harboring some suspicions. The words, "Almighty push," caused Naruto's armor to shatter. Everyone on board was shocked. All that remained was a thin, unsuccessful-looking man. The man had the muscle mass of a malnourished cat and stood about 4 feet tall. To determine whether any bones were broken, an MRI was not necessary. Star and Blackfire both screamed angrily. Mother would never have chosen such a weak-looking man. Naruto thought about that. Naruto stepped on the man and said, maybe she didn't. Guards, protect your king, he cried. Naruto touched the king's head with his hands. His mind was struck by visions. He saw Starfire, who appeared to be an adult, defeating an army of robots before one of them stunned her with a ray, and he put a necklace around her neck. According to this man's memory, it was a mind control device of some kind that only functions when the target is weak. The suit he wore was simply a suit of armor, and a year later he killed her in order to maintain his power. He didn't actually have any power. Additionally, when Star and Blackfire's home was too weak to defend itself, he had been cutting founding to the army to line his own pockets and open the door for an invasion from another planet. When Naruto announces this to the remaining passengers, they are furious. Hey now, those were images from your memory. You killed the queen after enslaving her. You're lucky I'm leaving them in your hands, otherwise I'll. The general and the other men on board bowed to him and said, actually, he was king of Tamarin. But now you've defeated him in single combat, you are now our king. Naruto was startled and asked, say what? He's a king? What a Tamaranian, he is not, I shouted. The usurper. The usurper is correct. Huh? Unless he marries either Starfire or Blackfire, the general said, glancing at Star and Blackfire. When they were talking to him earlier, they noticed a lot of things that they both liked, which naturally raised the question, who will marry him? The two girls looked at each other, and sparks of black and green light flew between them. But, Naruto said, drawing everyone's attention, I must first fix this world. Unbeknownst to everyone, Cassandra sighed in relief as Naruto said aloud, I can't leave it yet, not now. She needed him to accompany her to meet her master. Black and Starfire immediately said, then we shall stay as well. It will coincide with Earth customs of courting a mate, dating, Starfire explained to her brothers. Yes, Blackfire was able to embrace him from behind, saying, after all, we can fix this world and then come home with a fine husband. Say wa once more. How did Naruto go from being America's most wanted man to soon becoming the king of a planet? His mind was racing. Up in heaven. Jiraiya stopped messing with the space time continuum. Jiraiya said, grinning and laughing like a schoolgirl. Jiraiya heard Kami yell at him in his righteous rage, they weren't supposed to meet for another 3 years. I apologize, sister. I am to blame for that. In a game of cards, the pervert defeated me, the Reaper told her sister. What? What did you wager? She inquired. A one-time thing to mess with Naruto's life as long as it didn't interfere too much in the world of mortals. You used a card game to wager on Naruto's future in this DC universe? Hey, hello. 4 aces isn't a risk, with Naruto. The 9 of them were left on an island when the ship departed Earth. Are you too certain you want to stay? Raven asked the 2 extraterrestrials. Yes. This is the happiest place, Starfire remarked. Looking at Naruto's ass, Blackfire grinned and said, and the scenery isn't bad either. Sister. What? Cheshire translated, she wishes for you to fulfill your side of the bargain, she wants you to follow her to her master. Cheshire understood what that meant. Raz al Ghul and Cassandra caught Naruto's attention next. Excellent. I'll accompany you. How are the others doing? Naruto questioned the other 8. Thanks, but no Red. X stated, I'm not into the whole assassin thing. Ravenger said, ditto. I've been there and done it. Cheshire waved him away, saying, and I still want my scarf back. Naruto grinned at her angry expression and said, not a chance. Air. Naruto heard Starfire say, we shall come. Blackfire was as understated as a rhino. If only to see more of the world, and protect something. Anyway, what are your names? Did Batgirl ask. In your language, I am Starfire. She pissed off practically every girl there by cuddling up to Naruto and declaring, and I am Blackfire. But you may call me Honey. That sparked a heated dispute. 1 week later. Because he is Naruto Uzu. Fucking. Maki, he was able to bring the entire team, including Batgirl, to this meeting. Naruto had followed Cassandra to her master, this Ra's al Ghul. How did you persuade me to visit this place? Batgirl inquired, unsure of what had transpired, but suddenly wanting to accompany Naruto and this Cassandra to meet up with her mentor's mentor, Ra's al Ghul. Up there, you only said that once, at the Reaper, Cammy shouted. It was. His mother is this one. She replied, something about wanting like 100 grand kids. DATTEBAN. Give me GRABD babies. For this one. Which hand did you use? Her head was lowered. She was unable to prevail. Royal flush, in hearts, she had spades. Did you and Minato engage in any card games that I should be aware of? The Reaper glanced to the left and right. No. Returning to Earth, I understand how I arrived here. Red. X said, a free pass. This meant that Naruto allowed him to do anything he wanted while he was present, so that bank was all his. That is, if he can defeat Batgirl. So, how did I end up here? According to what Cheshire had been saying, Ravenger wasn't a huge fan of the League of Shadows. The 2 alien girls and the magic user might spare her punishment if Naruto succeeds her master and they accompany him. Cassandra led the group to her master's main room, where she met up with her master's daughter, Talia al Ghul. She was aware that she might receive criticism for letting Cheshire and others in, including the new Batgirl and those who weren't invited. She informed her mistress, I have brought Naruto as instructed. That makes sense, Cassandra. You also brought 1 traitor and 7 others. She brought Naruto and, from the top of the main room, everyone heard Ra's al Ghul say, that's enough the both of you. I've waited long enough for this moment. Ra's al Ghul grinned and remarked, ah, Naruto, we finally meet, face to face. With some glee, he remarked, I saw what you did to the detective over a month ago. Most impressive. Where are my manners? I am Ra's al Ghul, the demon head and Grand Master of the League of Shadows, also known as the League of Assassins. Naruto gave a nod. Naruto informed them, I've seen your information about your group on Batman's computer. Ra's al Ghul grinned and said, so, the detective has let down his guard around a ninja? For shame. Based on the fact you call Batman, the detective, you know who he is. And the fact you know I'm trained as a ninja is another impressive feat. Ra's al Ghul waved his hand for Naruto to accompany him on a walk, saying, yes, I do, but that's not why I asked you to come. Cheshire and the others he will deal with later. He walked with Naruto. Do you wish for me to join your league? He inquired. With a smile, Ra's al Ghul nodded. Yes, and no, you see Naruto, I am an old man, older than I look. I've prolonged my life until I can find an heir. Batman has proved time and time again to be a worthy heir to my goal, my dream, he replied to Naruto. Naruto inquired, and what is your dream, Ra's? Naruto arched an eyebrow and said, to rid the world of evil. Batman got his answer when he asked why he would. No killing is the only rule that Batman abides by. That was somewhat revealed by that in League of Assassins. A simple yet nearly impossible dream to achieve. He heard Naruto say, not really, he is able to comprehend such a dream. My dream for my world was to bring peace to a world that did nothing but wage war after war. 4 great ninja wars in less than 70 years. He stated to the elderly gentleman. And I achieved that. Cleansing the world of evil is slightly harder but not impossible, Naruto told Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul grinned after nodding. All he knew was that Naruto would get it. I will get to the point of why I asked you here, Naruto. I need an heir. I have failed in my many lifetimes to cleanse this world of evil. My only success was to gather others of like minds, and create this League of Shadows. Naruto gave a nod and kept listening. Raz Al Ghul turned to Naruto and extended his hand, saying, I have chosen you as my heir, Naruto. Naruto considered the offer while examining Raz Al Ghul's hand. Give me a month, Raz. Give me a mouth and I'll give you my answer, Naruto stated to him. Al Ghul Raz, he gave a nod. After waiting for an heir to succeed him for hundreds of years, it wouldn't hurt to wait another month. Very well. When the two men returned to the large group, they discovered Raven simply looking around, Red X playing solitaire, Starfire and Blackfire hovering around, and Talia conversing with Cheshire. Ravager and Batgirl were sort of conversing with Cassandra. Raz Al Ghul was respectful of that, saying, You've assembled an incredible group, Naruto, including one of Batman's apprentices. He had read about the invasion of Jump City in the news. Can you find this place again without Cassandra's help, or should I send her with you? Naruto caught her attention and threw one of his kunai at her, saying, No, I can find this place again. Cassandra. Raz Al Ghul and Cassandra both nodded. Throw that to the ground in a month, and I'll find you with my answer. Raven, get us out of here. She sent the group back to Jump City, saying, Right. Talia said, Father, why did you let them go? Naruto would have protected them if we tried anything, and I would have lost him as an heir. He grinned. I have a feeling that the month he asked for is not for him, but for the group he brought with him. With Jump City, Naruto, Raven and the other 8 members of the group emerged at the summit of the city's tallest structure. So what is your decision about leading this League of Shadows? Replied Raven. Batgirl gave him her bad glare and said, You can't. Never mind. You already kill. You're just like them, Naruto. Blackfire stood up for her future husband, saying, Watch your mouth, Earthling. As he separated them, Ravager said, Enough. Blackfire, Batgirl. We shouldn't fight amongst ourselves. Ravager is right. There is better things we can do than fight amongst ourselves. Naruto replied to them. Look at what we did today. We saved a city from becoming ashes, and saved a whole planet from an evil man. Naruto told them. Naruto said to them that, on our first day, imagine what we could do tomorrow. The concept appeals to some of them. Blackfire and Starfire approved of the concept. In other words, they would spend more time with their future spouse. That didn't excite Red X, Cheshire, Ravager, Batgirl, or Raven. Red X told him, Sorry, I'm a thief, not a hero. Even though Cheshire still detested Naruto for stealing her scarf, she stated, Not interested. I don't risk my neck out for others. Ravager concurred with Cheshire, saying, Ditto. Not worth it. Already a hero. And I'm not a murderer, Batgirl told Naruto after the fact. Blackfire stated, Joining a team is what I am most interested in. Starfire concurred, saying, Saving people can be most joyous. Naruto glanced at Raven and said, All right, Raven? She cast her gaze downward. I'm not the hero type. Yet you helped save everyone in this city. You don't need to be a hero to save lives. I told before the best time to start making friends is now. He reached for her hand. And I am willing to be friends with you. If you trust no one else, trust in me. Raven examined his hand. She took hold of his hand and he embraced her, saying, It would be nice not to be alone anymore. You'll never be alone again, not with me around. Red X grinned. I like this guy more and more. Maybe I might join, I might get lucky. Ravager was ashamed to have known him, only UX. Batgirl turned to face Naruto and said, I have a feeling that the month-long reprieve wasn't for you, but for us. She responded. Maybe you've already decided. Naruto gave Batgirl a look. You're right. I already decided that I will take over the League of Shadows and change them. Raz Al Ghul's mind is numb by the years. He knows it but needs an heir to take over for him and lead the League back to what they once were. Heroes in the shadows. He glanced at his, hopefully, new squad. I hope when the month has passed you all will join me within the shadows, yes, even you, Batgirl. The universe's opposite side. A huge group of spaceships have gathered in the vast ocean of space. Millions of ships, carrying even more troops. The man approached a tall, ominous-looking alien and said, Father, the last of our forces has reported in. We are ready. The name of this alien Then set course for Earth. Superman will soon know the mistake he made by not finishing me off when he had the chance. How long will it take us to reach Earth? 2 Earth years. Then we will let the Earthlings and Superman enjoy their last 2 years of life, before we destroy them all. Yes, Father Darkseid. Every ship activated its hyperdrive, and they were going to Earth. 1 month later Naruto had pasted the demon's tracks. Ra's al Ghul had been killed by his beating. He was now the League of Shadows' new leader and demon head. The 8 members of his elite group were behind him. He decided to call them Akatsuki in honor of Nagato and his friend's original plan, which was tainted by Obito and Madara. Talia al Ghul called out to the whole league that accompanied them on the island, "All hail the new demon head, Naruto Uzumaki." There were hundreds of people in the main room. "All hail Lord Uzumaki! All hail Lord Uzumaki! All hail Lord Uzumaki!" Over his chest, Naruto folded his arms. The tide of destiny was shifting. And a few things will be covered in the next chapter, including the month that was not covered. In the upcoming chapter, the battle between Naruto and Ra's al Ghul will also be discussed. In addition, even though Lex Luthor isn't evil, he will still treat Superman like an ass and be a jerk overall. Additionally, the conversation between Naruto and the Queen will be discussed in the upcoming chapter. It was originally planned for this chapter, but it was sufficient without it. Apologies. Recently updated, another thing. This is the Wood Wraith, but Tezcatlipoca is smaller. Another thing. I need a villain who is the antithesis of Naruto. As far as I know, no one in DC is capable of doing it. Please PM me if you can think of one. Any game or film will be awesome as well. Revised. Omake won a confusion at the peak of her lunges. A malevolent Bastilla Shan exclaimed, "All hail Darth Raven, the true Dark Lord of the Sith." Naruto surveyed his surroundings. Ah crap, back on the planet. Talia shouted to the League of Shadows, "All hail Lord Uzumaki, the new demon head." Raven surveyed the area. Ah crap. At that moment, a portal behind him opened. Naruto approached. "You must be Darth Raven, right?" "Yeah, you Lord Uzumaki?" "Yeah. Looks like we got switch. Here, take this portal to your world." Darth Raven entered the portal to return home and said, "Okay." The Sith quickly took control of the galaxy, and Naruto now fixed his world before tackling the universe. Soon after, they met, got into a fight, beat the living daylights out of each other, became best friends, agreed to a truce, and peace was poured throughout the universe for all eternity. Each had hundreds of children and grandchildren. Omake 2 Amazonian King. Small line. The conversation between Naruto and Hippolyta in Icha Icha. Bouncing off Naruto's cock, Hippolyta asked, "So, will you stay?" After forcing Hippolyta to her hands and knees, Naruto began beating her in the manner of a dog, saying, "But of course, the next generations of the Amazons have to be conceived." After 30 years every Amazon on the island who was 16 years of age or older had been impregnated by Naruto. After the Amazonian army conquered the planet, there was perpetual peace. Omake 3. Part 2 of the greatest prank ever. A sip of his tea was taken by Clark Kent. Today, there was an odd package on his doorstep. That contained a tape that said, "Play me." He inserted it and listened to it. When Clark said, "Hello, Superman," his eyes grew wide. As he spat out the tea, Clark's eyes widened once more. "If you are watching this, you must likely already took a sip of the tea I made you." "No, I didn't spit in it, although tempting. No, you see that tea is poisoned. It is too late to spit the tea out as the poison is already in your body. You have 24 hours to live now," the man who made the recording stated. You could only see the man's eyes because his hood was up. "Now, as you know, I wouldn't have made this tape unless there was a cure. This is a cure. But in order to get it you must complete one social experiment I want you to participate in." Bruce was already unhappy with this. "In order to get the cure you must do one thing. You must get laid. It'll do you some good, and ironically the cure can be found in the female ejaculation. And no, I am not kidding. Later, Superman." The recording ended. Clark was initially dubious. He rushed to Bruce to conduct tests, which took several hours but proved he was poisoned. He called, though, because he needed to drink and have a female orgasm. "Hello? Lois. Clark? Yay, I was wondering, you want to go out on a date, tonight?" "Lois? There is a god, 5 years later?" Naruto told Rachel Kent, who was 4 years old, and that's how your parents got together. Wow, so you played matchmaker? Yep. Why Uncle Naruto? Well, you see, your father is a stiff. I'd figured if he and your mom got together then he'd lighten up, Naruto stated to young Helena. Oh, wait. Did you really poison Daddy? No. I just put some lemonade mix in his tea and mess with Uncle Bruce's toys so it would think he was poisoned. He was fine, and sure enough 9 months later you came into their lives. Naruto grinned at the youngster. Oh, is that why Mommy and Daddy are at the hospital again getting me another baby brother or sister? She was innocently asking. Naruto grinned. Yep. Naruto answered the phone when it rang. Naruto, Clark said, and it sounded like Lois was about to give birth. Clark exclaimed, I hate you so much right now. As Lois's female rage like grip crushed his hand. Naruto heard Lois shout, as that Naruto. Give me the phone, give it Clark. She had one of the happiest days of her life today, saying, Naruto, I have one thing to say to you. Thank you so much. Talia al Ghul called out to the whole league that accompanied them on the island. All hail the new demon head, Naruto Uzumaki. His name was cheered by hundreds of people in the main room. To let them see him, Naruto stepped outside. All hail Lord Uzumaki. All hail Lord Uzumaki. All hail Lord Uzumaki. Over his chest, Naruto folded his arms. The tide of destiny was shifting. He had the support and willingness of his elite team to carry out the necessary tasks. Indeed, even Batgirl. A month ago, she was adamant about not joining him or his new team, and he had no idea how or why she would join him of all people. Red X, Ravager, Cheshire, Blackfire, Starfire, Raven, Cassandra, and finally Batgirl made up the team, followed by him of course. This new generation of dark heroes would be led by this group. By giving his enemies a red dawn, the Akatsuki would make his older cousin Nagato proud and bring hope to those they have harmed. However, he questioned what had caused Cheshire, Ravager, Red X, and Batgirl to change their minds. Batgirl in particular. 1 month prior to alongside Red X and Ravager. Ravager and Red X went to steal some money for fun almost immediately after the big group dispersed. In order to steal some shiny items, they broke into a jewelry store that was located on the 20th floor of a large building in an unknown city. Even though it was closed today, they still went ahead. Help! Fire! When both thieves looked out, they saw a fire burning in a slum house a few buildings away. This wasn't their problem, they weren't heroes. Ravager, it's not our problem. Let's move forward before the police arrive. You're right. Ravager tossed the little bag containing the diamonds and other jewels into the hall, saying, we have a good haul and a fire is a perfect distraction. When someone screamed at the top of their lungs, the two were racing across the roofs, but they had to pass the burning building first. My baby. Red X kept going, but Ravager stopped. X looked back. Ravager, come on, let's go. She looked at the woman, who was battling 2 firefighters, and said, wait. My baby is in there, so please let me inside. The firefighter heard the woman's words. The roof is going to collapse, so I can't let you in, the chief said to the distraught mother. Please, please. The mother's desperation was overwhelming. Wait, you're not, Red X said icily, turning to face Ravager. Sucks to be her. She then ran at full speed and leapt, saying, use your X-glue to buy me more time. Hold on, Ravager. Oh no. Ravager had more time to locate the child after X applied his X-glue to the roof. Please, save my baby. The mother witnessed a person, likely a hero, dive into the flaming structure. Ravager searched for the baby she was now risking her life to save, as a hero would, and heard the baby's cries, but it was difficult to locate the poor baby because of the fire. She was now desperate, and she had maybe 2 minutes, thanks to X, to locate the baby. When the outside X fired everything he had, Ravager would have had 2 or 3 minutes, but now he was out. The woman on the ground watched in despair as her fear grew and her hope faded. Boom! The mother screamed as the top floor exploded, and Ravager jumped out with the baby in her arms just as another one occurred. She landed on the fire truck, but she was okay, and she got down. She handed the mother the small bundle and said, here's your baby. Bless you, my hero, the woman sobbed. A little shaken, Ravager used her grappling hook to escape, but not before someone took a picture of her with their camera. "Bliss you," she said, cuddling the baby before heading to a paramedic to check on her. "Are you happy now?" Ravager was asked by Red X. With Cheshire, Jade, also known as Cheshire, had been having a rough month since the Little Jump City incident, and she was no hero, but she and Ravager and Red X saved the city, which was okay but not really her thing. She was walking home with bags in both hands, having just gone shopping with completely stolen money, and it was the only thing that made her happy right now, aside from a number of dreams in which a certain blonde was harmed. "Assist me, ignore it, Jade. Damn it. It's not your problem," she told herself and continued to walk. "Stop talking, bitch." It's still not her problem, but she heard someone else yell. It was a man, probably a mugger. After ignoring it for about a minute in an attempt to avoid getting an earshot, Jade sighed and hopped on the nearby building. She put her clothes down, changed into her Cheshire attire, and decided to vent a little on this mugger. Cheshire couldn't stand this as a woman, so she jumped down and kicked the man in the head, sending him back to the wall. She didn't let up and pinned him to that wall. When she arrived, she was horrified that she hadn't intervened earlier. This man wasn't a mugger, but a rapist, and he was raping the woman. "Remain put," she said aloud. "The police will arrive shortly. Well done for the day, and now." "What the heck? I'll leave. I bitch all the time." He couldn't take a hunt. "You know what I'm going to do, bitch, when I get out," the man told her. Cheshire gave him a hard time for calling her a bitch, even though it was true. "I will come get you. I will get my friends and have a sideways bitch fuck with you. Similar to what I did with this bitch." "I doubt it," Cheshire told herself. "This guy can't just shut up. You're leaving for a while once the police arrive." She was leaving the girl for the police to assist. "He calls me a bitch again, and I'm like, yeah right bitch. They can't make anything stick." The man boasted. "My bubby will erase all the evidence, including this bitch and all the others." Cheshire looked at the man and was shocked to see that he had been arrested just 24 hours earlier on a charge of rape and murder. Had he been granted bail or something? Cheshire simply shrugged her head, thinking that the justice system was corrupt if a man like that could be released on bail in less than a day. "And I'm going to complete the task I began with this bitch when I do get out, and the daughter of this bitch," he said. For as long as she could, Cheshire suppressed her rage. "No, you're not." "Oh, will you also stop me from bitching?" he grinned. She lifted her sigh and said, "Yeah, I am. Have you ever pondered what it would be like to pass away? That is for calling me a bitch," she said to the dying rapist. "Man, this place was bad if people like that walk around," she asked, then approached him, stabbed him in the jugular, and left him to die agonizingly. Cheshire was now changing her mind about Naruto's team. Alongside Batgirl. It wasn't quite dark yet, with the sun still shining through the clouds, but it might as well have been dark. 3 weeks had passed since Batgirl, Barbara had left Naruto and his crazy team idea, but now it didn't seem so crazy. She was looking at a funeral, with 20 people dead. Not a particularly high number in the grand scheme of things, but far too many for a young hero to handle. Batgirl turned to face the woman sobbing at the front 5 coffins. She had lost her husband, mother, son, and both daughters. The son was 15, the daughters were 6 and 7. "This is what you brought upon us." "Yes, you did. This is something you brought upon us," she cried and yelled at Batgirl, pointing out that the men who killed these people were the Joker's goons who had followed her here, so she shared some of the blame. "How much longer must people live before you heroes realize that you have to kill some people to save the world?" Batgirl asked, glancing down at a man she knew was one of the people she had saved, but who had lost his wife. He was generally composed about it. Barbara left because she could stand it no longer. After a few hours, Batgirl was on her way home, still thinking about the funeral, where Joker's thugs had split up over 10 families. "Assist me!" Batgirl heard a shout. "Stop being such a jerk. You're going to get yours for what you said in court," she heard another man shout. "Hey!" The man landed hard in some trash cans after looking at the voice and seeing a heel to his face. "Thank you, Batgirl," she said of the woman who ran behind her. "I'm grateful. Now you be little thug and stay there while you wait for the cops to hail you off to jail." Batgirl grinned at the down thug after nodding and tying him to a nearby pole and wrapping him around her bat wire. "So what?" The man spat at her feet. "A leave. I do every time," he grinned. "You look familiar," Batgirl said, gaining a closer look at him. "Have I previously caught you?" she inquired. "You caught me having my way with this slut over there and her twin bitches, and you busted me," he said. "Yeah, you have bat. Whore. Yesterday, 2 weeks ago, and again 3 weeks ago. However, I left." He boasted, "I can get away with anything because I have friends in high places." She realized now that she had caught this sick. Oh, just 24 hours prior. How in the hell did he evade the charges? He was charged with 3 counts of rape and attempted murder, with 3 witnesses, the victims. And this was not the second time she had caught him. She had done so 4 times in less than a month, with enough charges to lock him up for life or 2. "And I'm going after that bitch once more when I go out. And I will repeatedly enjoy her little whore daughters once I get my way with her, almost like the Joker." He smiled, "just like with what I did with the other families I've done." As sad as it was, Barbara knew that this guy was far too common in terms of criminals. She never followed up on the people she helped capture when she was with Batman. How many of them were like this guy, able to escape justice for one reason or another? Batgirl was furious. Was this what she was doing with her life? Catching bad and downright evil people only to have them escape justice and do it all over again? She picked up 2 batarangs. "Hey sweetie, let me tell you. You let me go after I give you the time of your life." Batgirl responded by slitting his throat, causing his blood to splash onto her suit and the surrounding walls. The woman was not so much horrified as shocked that Batgirl had killed this man. After leaving the scene, Batgirl's thoughts returned to Naruto, whose team idea no longer seemed so absurd. After hearing that Batgirl had killed someone a few days prior, Batman and Robin were the most shocked, though Batman didn't express it. Naruto, on the other hand, was waiting for the other 4 potential members of his team. Naruto heard Raven say, "Someone is here." Starfire exclaimed with unusual joy, "Oh, it seems someone has chosen to join our husband in this fight." Behind him were Raven, Starfire and Blackfire, and the first was Cheshire, who flipped up to the building's roof. "Yes, it's our favorite feline. Cheshire, do you agree with ourself? Assigned mission to purge evil from the world and support our future husband in his endeavors?" Starfire inquired. "Aye." At that moment, Red X and Ravager leapt onto the roof, and Naruto exclaimed, "More are on the way." Blackfire grinned and said, "Oh goody, more friends." She was only interested in her sister and her future husband, Naruto. "Are we running late?" Red X inquired. "No, exactly on schedule," Naruto remarked, with one more on her way. With a look of regret and shame, Batgirl suddenly flipped onto the roof, and Naruto was unable to determine whether the shame stemmed from joining the group or something else. "I want to clarify 2 points. Whenever someone joins this team, we watch out for and support one another. In addition to being friends despite the blood we shed in the mud, we are family in all but blood, and we are not here for fame or anything else. Before our time is up, we want to rid the world of as much evil as possible. We will undoubtedly have to appear in front of a camera at some point. If you choose not to, I will. If there is any blame to be assigned, I will accept full responsibility. But know that no matter what, nobody will ever be alone. Deal?" Naruto turned to face the 4 who were about to join. Cheshire said, "Deal." She could always leave later if she so desired, but it would also be good to have someone who wasn't scared of the Justice Friends. Ravager had no real excuse for not joining, and the thought of the protection would be pleasant. "Fine. Is it still possible for us to steal?" When Red X asked, Ravager elbowed him. "Only if I give the okay or it is from a guilty person, like Black Mask and such," Naruto replied. Ravager was embarrassed to be related to him, but he said, "Cool, I'm in." Then Naruto turned to face Batgirl and said, "How about you, Batgirl?" Did he ask? The woman she saved said that she did the right thing, while others said that she did the wrong thing. Batgirl looked at the others, and she was the oddball of the group. She then looked at her hands, and then she filched, remembering her first and only kill to date, the blood that would not wash off for days, and the criticism she received for killing that it went against everything the Justice League stood for. "Batgirl, you are at a turning point in your life." Naruto extended his hand to her and said, "Join me or return to being a Justice League member." After giving it a quick glance, she slowly accepted it and said, "I'm in. So long as no innocent person is harmed." Justice Mount. The rest of the team was a little taken aback by the news about Batgirl, but some, like Aqualad and Superboy, were unaffected because they knew her the least. Megan and Artemis were watching TV, shocked by what Batgirl had done a while ago. By the way, Artemis' hair grew back. She didn't lose much. "Megan, how are you doing?" Artemis inquired. She was so depressed that she hadn't even made a decent batch of cookies in over 2 weeks. In fact, she hadn't cooked anything for a week. But she said, "I think the Earth way to say it is, I'll live. I'm confident Naruto will honor his promise, but I can't claim to have been there." Artemis tried to be comforting, saying, "You'll see him again." Feeling a little better, Megan laughed and said, "Thanks Artemis." Batman and Robin were watching a recorded news clip about the Batgirl killing on the opposite side of Mount Justice. The only footage of the Batgirl killing was from a camera across the street, and it only showed her entering and exiting the building with blood on her hands and a shocked expression on her face. "You don't believe she did it on purpose?" did Robin ask. Batman simply viewed the video. "Whether or not she did is irrelevant. People will believe that we chose to kill criminals because they still view her as a member of the Justice League." Batman told Tim, "If she has gone rouge, we must find her. Bring her in if we need to stop her." With wide eyes, Tim said, "You don't think? My opinion is irrelevant. Both the world and what I know are important." Batman watched the paused video of Batgirl examining her hands and said, "No matter the cost. Batgirl has killed someone. We have to find her, find out why, and stop her." With Akatsuki and Naruto had just awoken from the trails of the demon. With a start, Talia exclaimed, "You've done it." Naruto said as he stood up, "You sound surprised." "Yes, I am." Talia replied, "I thought only Batman could finish the demon's trails." Naruto stood up. "I'm positive that he could." Naruto responded, humping, "But I doubt he would even try. His morals, his code, prevents him from doing what needs to be done. It's all a bad joke," he said. Talia remained silent, but they nodded and went on. As he pasted them, Naruto noticed that Talia's elite guard was saluting him by raising their swords. Talia informed this man, "Naruto, and the new shadow heir, regardless, you have pasted the demon trails and now you have earned an audience with the head of the demon." The two strolled until they came to a door. Ra Al Ghul appeared, gray hair and all, as the door opened. He grinned at his new heir and said, "Naruto, I knew you would do it." Ra would have been overjoyed. Ra stabbed his sword in front of him and said, "Now, fulfill your destiny. Slay me and become the new demon head of the League of Shadows." Naruto picked up the sword without hesitation. Naruto killed Ra by stabbing him in the heart. "I will fulfill your dream, Ra. I promise you," and Naruto Uzumaki always keeps his promises. Ra had fought for too long without really achieving his objectives, so he didn't want to fight anymore. Ra exhaled, "My final words of wisdom, Naruto." As he was dying, he said, "There will always be someone to challenge, a man like you." Do you get my meaning? It wasn't new to him, but he knew that this time he wouldn't return. Naruto removed the blade from Ra and said, "Yes, I know what you mean." Naruto commanded some of Talia's elite to honor him. He was a great man. Talia and Naruto left the demon's chamber. Talia was the first to leave. Talia Al Ghul called out to the whole league that accompanied them on the island, "All hail the new demon head, Naruto Uzumaki." His name was cheered by hundreds of people in the main room. To let them see him, Naruto stepped outside. "All hail Lord Uzumaki! All hail Lord Uzumaki! All hail Lord Uzumaki!" Over his chest, Naruto folded his arms. The tide of destiny was shifting. He had the support and willingness of his elite team to carry out the necessary tasks. Indeed, even Batgirl. A month ago, she was adamant about not joining him or his new team, and he had no idea how or why she would join him of all people. Batgirl, the only one questioning her decision, was still behind him. However, Batgirl was obstinate and loyal. As long as she is loyal to Naruto, she will remain with him. She will never, however, become obligingly loyal. Then her cell phone, more accurately, a JL communicator that functioned as a cell phone, rang. She sighed as she glanced at the name. "Yes, Kara." Batgirl moved her cell away from her ear as soon as she said that. As Kara continued to rant, Batgirl kept her cell away from her ear and asked, "Are you fucking crazy?" "Watchtower." And then I hear from Batman that you might have gone rouge. Tell me, Barbara. Tell me right now as friends. Have you gone rouge? Kara responded. The silence on the other end annoyed Kara. Despite being a straightforward yes or no question, neither response has a straightforward conclusion. Kara vowed, please answer me, Barb. The idea of having to pursue Barbara, her only true friend, made her heart ache and her stomach turn. Barbara, on the other end, was considering her response. She was certain that the answer was yes. From the Justice League, she had turned evil. Yes. Kara's heart sank at that response. Kara wanted to talk Batgirl out of this, so she said, where are you? We need to talk right now. I'll come alone, just me and just as a friend. Just tell me where we can meet. We can't talk right now, Kara. I'm busy. I'll call you when I can, alright? No, Kara exclaimed, looking around because she didn't want anyone to hear her even though she was in her room. Kara then heard a voice in the back, whose voice she recognized well enough. No, we need to talk now. I won't say what you've told me already, but you know how this works. Batman will send people after you and there is a good chance that I'll be among them. Kara inquired, is Naruto with you? Naruto said to Barbara in a very low voice, like I said, Kara, now's not a good time. Alright, look. I'll be in Gotham in about an hour. Find me there, alright? I won't be alone, but we can talk alone, alright, Kara? That's the best I can do, Barbara stated to her companion. It was not to Kara's liking. She questioned, was it Naruto's idea? Yes, sort of. He saw me talking with someone and overheard our conversation. He said that I will be in Gotham on assignment. I can't tell you what, so don't ask, but I'll be there for a week. Tell no one, Kara, please. I'll see you then. Kara hung up, saying, okay, but if you're not there I will find you. She had to get dressed. Unbeknownst to her, Batman was nearby and had an eavesdropper attached to his ear when she flew out the door. Just prior to Kara's call, Naruto stepped back from his applauding clan. At the moment, that was the best way to put it. While Batgirl was off to the side with her cell, he moved to his team. Recalling the words spoken to him by the Amazonian queen Hippolyta prior to his departure. Rewind flash, Naruto said, may I ask why you wish to spec with me? Hippolyta the queen stopped smiling. Cut this respect and bow attitude you've been doing since you got here. I can tell that you have no care for formalities or rank of others, she stated to him. The sigh smile quickly vanished from Naruto's face, returning to its blank expression. You're right, I don't. But that still begs the question. Why do you want to talk to me? He inquired. She made eye contact with him. I want to talk about your eyes. My eyes? Yes, more important, what I've seen in your eyes. I've seen many warriors in my time, and at a young age, you've seen more death than half of my Amazons who've lived for hundreds of years, yet you seem to be at a mere 16 years of age. It took Naruto a moment to realize that this place was very different from his home world after he looked at her. This place had its own honor, and his world had its own. Where I'm from, we learn to become soldiers at age 6, and then get into active service as early, on average, age 12. Sometimes as young as 6 or 8, he stated. She had a horrified expression on her face. How could that be allowed? Children? You're still a child, she said. He gave her a look. I was never a child. I lost my childhood the day I was born. In my world, we forfeit our right to have a childhood. It is the way things are, or where, I'm not sure anymore. You're not? She inquired, perplexed by his response. I was ripped from my world and was thrown into this one. When I told Cobra that I've faced men who had the powers that were considered to be gods amongst monsters, I wasn't kidding. And when I told him I've beaten them, I wasn't kidding then either. He stated. Queen Hippolyta was unable to imagine such a horrifying practice. Sending kids to fight in wars. We are getting off topic, Queen Hippolyta. What is it about my eyes that you wish to talk about? Although Queen Hippolyta could sense her anger growing, her years helped her to relax. She became wiser as she grew older. I see. That is where it came from. He said, what came from? To her. I saw it in your eyes, Naruto. You have a mask on right now, covering up that sadness in your heart. Naruto glanced at her again and asked, sadness? I've put. He was about to bullshit his way out of it when she said, don't lie to a woman, young one. It's rude. He joked, do women have a lie detector built in them or something? Yes, we do. was the expression she gave him. Naruto, I see in your eyes, your pain. You hide it well, even Batman cannot see past your mask. He may know you wear one, but unable to see what you wish to hide. Naruto was unable to keep his mask up. I think I should. Queen Hippolyta moved in front of him as he began to move. We will talk, Naruto. I have to say my piece, otherwise, you will become what you hate most. He wanted to go, so he asked, what I hate most. He felt his heart rate rise as she dismantled his defiance one by one, saying, damn, she's fast. Naruto looked down, unwilling to speak, and said, are you afraid? Afraid that what happened to you will happen again? Why are you so sad, Naruto? You radiate sadness like a sun radiates heat. I see it, you are lonely, and you feel that once more, you are alone in this world. The path of loneliness is one that many have followed, and in that path many have fallen into their hatred. Queen Hippolyta took a deep breath. Loneliness leads to depression, depression leads to anger, and anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Sea Shark deserves credit for coining that expression. I feel much loneliness in you. It was that. He was powerless to stop it. Knowing the answer, he said, Hippolyta, you love your daughter Wonder Woman, right? Of course. Why ask such a question? He repeated the stupid question, what would you do if she died? I would mourn her passing, but celebrate her life. Naruto nodded. If he could, that sounds like something he would do. Now tell me, what would you do, if you knew she was out there, but you could never see her, never know what she was doing or how she was doing? You could never see her become the woman you wish her to be, never, ever, see her. She was surprised by that. That is what I'm feeling. I had done what no one had ever done before. I brought a chance for true peace to come to our world that had not seen peace ever in its history. I was going to be rewarded with being with my children, my lovers. But my reward, being sent to this world, to fix this world. I can never return to my world, Queen Hippolyta, never see my kids. He wept, trying not to contemplate it. He raised his gaze to the sky and asked, how could you cope with that? The sun was hidden from his view. He didn't want to get close to anyone because he was afraid he already had, and Queen Hippolyta now understood his sadness. What of Megan? She seems quite happy when around you, and you are happy when around her. Are you afraid she will get close to your heart? I can see the kind of man you are, Naruto. You spent your life cracking the hard shell of people's hearts. Melting the ice of people who didn't want to love or open their heart to anyone, until they meet you. Naruto's gaze expanded. He was reminded of a lot of people, including the ones Queen Hippolyta had just criticized. He broke through their hard shells, melted their icy hearts, and delivered them from their darkness so they could be joyful. It is men like you and Batman that makes me feel that there is hope for the world of men. You've done so much for so many others, Naruto. I can see that. You've saved so many, shown them that they could love and have friends, shown them your courage and given them hope. Yet leave none for yourself. Give yourself the strength that you need. If you cannot see your courage anymore, Naruto, there are others that will show you how to regain your courage. For some reason, Naruto sensed the Jubi stirring a little. However, Naruto did something he had never done since he was 3 years old. He sobbed and lost it. After that, Queen Hippolyta did something she had previously believed she would never do for a man. She reassured him. If you feel alone again, find those that have seen your heart for what it really is. If you cannot, come back, and we Amazons will show you what you have. You will always have a place here. You cannot heal this world, if you cannot heal your own heart. Back end for Flash. Naruto nearly broke down in tears. But he became more determined. He could heal his heart later, but he had to. Alright, this team is good, but we need more on our side if we want to face the Justice League in battle and any other that challenges us. He turned to his teammates. We need to recruit and we need better gear if we are to compete with the Justice League. We need new members. Over the mouth, I've found a few that might fit the bill for this team. One is in, currently, Metropolis right now. Don't know why, but he is. His name is Speedy, but changed his name to Red Arrow. A much better name than Speedy. Raven, Starfire and Blackfire. I want you 3 to find and recruit him. No force, tell him what we are and if he wants to meet with me to use your try. Can I? I'll be there when I can. Grinning, Blackfire said, of course, husband. For Starfire's sister, he is not your husband's sister, he is mine. Raven was aware that this would not be enjoyable. She questioned, "You really want me to go with them?" He appeared contrite as he said, "Yes. Sorry, Raven." Then he glanced at Cassandra, Ravager, Cheshire, and Red X. He caught a glimpse of Batgirl in the distance. The others are as in Gotham. One goes by the name Red Hood, the other is known as Mr. Freeze. The rest of you will recruit them. I'll go for the last one in Gotham. Why so many of us to recruit this Red Hood guy and Mr. Freeze? Cheshire inquired. Naruto gave Batgirl a look. I'm expecting you guys to run into Batman. He's after this Red Hood guy too. He'll also bring in his Young Justice team. And as you know, Mr. Freeze has been on Batman's shit list for a while now. When that happens, use the try Kunai to summon me, that'll tip the scales in our favor. Naruto told Cheshire and the rest of the team. He turned to Talia and said, Batgirl, Ravager, and X take Red Hood. Cheshire and Cassandra take Mr. Freeze. Talia, do you know anyone with the means to make weapons, armor and the sort? He inquired. Talia smiled knowingly. I know someone. Naruto gave a nod. All right then. I hope your recruiting missions are successful. Raven, you're in charge of your group. Batgirl, you're in charge of your group in Gotham. I will be with Talia seeing this friend of hers about my idea. This will help our group and the league to grow stronger, Naruto stated to them. Right. Talia nodded and departed to make the necessary arrangements. Leave immediately. Talia set them up to go to their mission locations, Metropolis and Gotham. Naruto gave the grinning former villains a flash drive and said, one more thing. Cheshire, give this to Mr. Freeze. Tell him it is the hope he has been looking for. It appeared that this new world he was in would be something different, so Naruto grinned. A fresh challenge. In contrast to his previous world, where violence and bloodshed were the norm. That was not enough for this world. In terms of these so-called heroes, it required new leadership. And he will give it to them along with his team. But he had to speak with Batgirl first. After a while, Talia's friend was with Naruto. So, have you looked at what I sent you ahead of time? I have, and they're incomplete, I know. I figured. You sent them incomplete on purpose, didn't you? All of the blueprints you sent me were all missing a power core. As I intended. The power cores for them are easily made, but only I can make them. I just need your help to build the bigger things. So do we have a deal? Naruto raised his hand. The friend shakes Naruto's hand and says, yes, we do, Naruto. Naruto grinned. How long until the number is ready and is sold to the people I wanted to? It will take about 2 years or so. Once you give me the plans for the generator, we can work on them right away. Naruto gave a nod. I can supply you with an endless workforce and all of the metals free of charge. More than enough to make the weapons and armor I want you to make for me with a lot left over. And in return I do this for you and make you other project free of charge. After all, we're partners now, Naruto. Naruto gave a nod. Happy to do business with you, Lex. One more thing. If you think about backstabbing me, it will be the last thing you do. For, unlike Superman, I have no weakness. Naruto walked away without saying anything else. Lex gave a nod. Sir? Lex picked up a black rod that Naruto had left him and said, don't worry, Mercy. It was a warning and a promise more than a threat. Besides, both Naruto and I know that we are far better allies than enemies. And then there's this little number. A metal so strong that only Superman's level of strength is able to break and is lighter than any other metal on Earth is something I have no intention of betraying. Lex examined every project that was in front him. Additionally, Naruto would provide him with an endless labor force at no cost for both his own and these projects. Then Lex chuckled. All he could do was that. He threw the rod into a poster of Superman's head after laughing uncontrollably. Directly between the eyes. City, Red Arrow, also known as Speedy, had just apprehended another gang of bank robbers. Is there a real reason why it takes so long to get one paycheck rather than a job? A shadow to his right was then the target of Roy's arrow. Come out of the shadows. I know you're there, he shouted. Red Arrow looked up to see a young woman gliding down to him and said, most impressive. Blackfire informed him, most wouldn't have seen me at all. Red Arrow said, I saw a hood. I know it wasn't you. A monotone voice asked, regardless, is your hero named Speedy? Another young woman with dark hair emerged from the shadows as Red Arrow watched a dark portal open. It's Red Arrow. he said, sounding a little irate. Roy was now surrounded by 3 young, strong women, one of whom was red-headed. Red Arrow is it now? Such a more respectable name than Speedy Wright's sister? Roy asked. Indeed, said Blackfire. You all know me, but I don't know you. Mind filing me in on why you are searching for me? Oh, how rude of us. In your language I am Starfire. And I am Blackfire. Starfire's sister. I am Raven. Roy gave a nod. Even though he was surrounded by strong beings, he was still unsure of their motivations. You still haven't said why you're here, he inquired. Straight to the point then, Red Arrow. The man we are partnered with has started up a new team. He is looking for talent and anyone willing to work with him for the greater good. Even if we had to dirty our hands to do so. Raven was saying to him. Another Justice League? No, not like those spandex-wearing clowns. We're different than them. We will not bend knee to them or anyone else. We have a different plan and goal. That is? Inquired Red Arrow. For members only. We wish you at least think about it. Our leader has taken notice of your skills and wishes for you to join and help him be an important part in a plan that will change the world. This leader, he wouldn't happen to be Naruto Uzumaki, would he? Asked Roy. Blackfire grinned. A well-informed Earthling it seems. I see why our husband wants him to join us. Yes, our leader is Naruto Uzumaki. Raven then took out a try. Can I? Here, when you have an answer. Throw this to the ground and our leader will come. Roy gave it a look. He inquired, and if I were to refuse his offer? Raven and the Star Sisters left the young archer with a big and crucial choice to make. Nothing. If no, we will leave you alone and will never bother you again. We must go. He'll be content with confused for the time being. Gotham, Red X, Ravager, and Batgirl were on a rooftop. Batgirl shouted to a drug dealer who was hanging by her hand, "Where is he?" He begged her, "I don't know, he found us, I swear." With a bored tone, X said, "This guy is useless. I say drop him." According to Ravager, "I second that." Batgirl gave a nod. "Last change scum. Here is he." "I don't know. He was dropped by Batgirl. But he was gone in an instant." Batgirl recognized the person. They nodded. X, Ravager, "I got somewhere I need to be. You to go find our target." Batgirl went to meet a good, hopefully still, friend and said, "One more thing. Batman will be here soon, be ready, I'll help you when I can." "I think he and his friends are already here," said X. "No, just us." X and Ravager turned to see young Justice and the rest of them, prepared for battle. Batgirl landed in an alley down the street. She noticed that her best friend Kara, also known as Supergirl, had a really angry expression on her face. She gave the order, "Talk." Now, Batgirl gave a nod. Batgirl said aloud, "I owe him that much at least. I will, as soon as Batman shows himself." She still appears embarrassed by her decision. And Omaku, how Lex became loyal to Naruto. Lex was laughing uncontrollably. "Sir?" Mercy asked, her face showing some worry as she turned to face her boss. While reading a well-known orange book, Lex remarked, "I can't believe it. I didn't know that Ultragirl could bend that way." "Sir? Oh, wow. Naruto, you're my hero now. I didn't know you could do that to a heroine. I have to keep that in mind." Mercy couldn't stop thinking about what she was seeing. It makes sense why her boss wouldn't turn on Naruto. The Flash version of the greatest prank ever after defeating another of his rouges, the Flash, also known as Barry Allen, had just finished doing interviews. It wasn't difficult. He was now back in the Watchtower, either reading an orange book or just relaxing. He smiled. "Man, this guy is great. Icha Icha, the Sage and the Heroines. Unrated Harem Edition," was the title. "Man, I'm envious of this guy. What in good country?" The lights then returned. Unusual. In any case, Flash read the book he was holding and the 20 or so books that were beside him. Through the Watchtower came a scream that was as cold as blood. After an hour. "John, what's wrong with him?" the Manhunter was asked by Superman. The medical screaming had just ended when John said, "It appears that Flash has had a terrifying shock to his system." John informed him, "I fear he will never recover from his shock and will need to be removed from the roster." "How could this have happened to him?" Wonder Woman inquired. "The only thing I could get out of him when I asked was a book. I looked around his room, and it appears that he read more than 20 books quickly, which is again contrary to my advice. His brain was overloaded with information, John remarked. The Green Lantern caught everyone's attention. Wait, time out, did Flash have a brain? Not taking the jab as Flash, John nodded. Yes, as I suppose all people do, he said. But I read the book, and the 20 think it's good. What he read was this. The book's title read as John passed it to Batman and the other members of the first 7, not Flash, of course. Icha Icha. Unrated uncut. Flashing heroes. Back on the planet. Hee hee hee. I can't believe you did it, my god. Everyone in Naruto's group was laughing uncontrollably, and X was unable to keep his composure. All right, I did it. Before switching them with Flash's collection, I wrote 21 volumes of flashing heroes that dealt with Flash and all of the male adult heroes. His fucking piece of cheap crap Dare and fucking X. Yes, exactly. At the moment, Naruto and his friends were playing Truth or Dare because they were so bored. Okay, my turn, bitches, shouted Blackfire. She surveyed the area. She smiled as she said, Revan, Truth or Dare? Truth, was her response. She lacked the courage to dare. But when she saw Blackfire smile, that didn't make her feel any better.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.